tonight, but a good crowd nonetheless, 28,000 plus for this one at Winnipeg Stadium. Temperature a reasonably pleasant 13 degrees, and the breeze will be a factor early in this game. Cal Murphy, now in his 14th CFL season in Winnipeg, he has led the Bombers to 3 Grey Cup victories in that time. And on the other side, Ron Lancaster has been around the CFL forever. In his 6th season in Edmonton, he is already the Eskimos' second most winning football coach. He has the 2nd best winning percentage. We're ready for the kickoff. And the Blue Bombers will get the evening underway. And there's the Giz playing his 2nd game for the Edmonton Eskimos in 1996. Coming down to Eric Blunt. Nice opening as Blunt crosses the 35 to about the 37. Tonight's starting lineups brought to you by Corral. And Danny McManus back in uniform after missing 1 week. He has fired 12 touchdown passes so far this season. Outside receivers, Jim Sandusky and Mark Tobert. Eddie Brown and Darren Flutie begin inside, and a couple pretty good running backs, and Tony Burse and Eric Blunt. The offensive line intact. Again with Rod Conniff back at center. From the 36, McManus keeps it on the ground. Bombers are tough to run against. It's solid up front.
You're right, John. Very solid up front. Those 3 defensive linemen, Tony Hill, John Kropke, and Colin Scribner. And the strength of the defense, the linebackers, Charlie Clements, Greg Clark, K.D. Williams, and Angelo Snipes, who co-leads CFL in sacks. And in the secondary, it's Damian Lyons, Shannon Garrett on the corners, Gerald Vaughn, Darius Watson at halfbacks, and Greg Frères is the safety.
The gain. A single yard. McManus will put it up on target. Stopped short of the first down at the 41-yard line, however. That's K.D. Williams celebrating with a tackle on Darren Flutie.
Well, you know the game's on television. K.D. Williams is going to want to make an impact. He's arguably the best linebacker in the league this season. Does it again early for Winnipeg.
You think he's the best?
Well, he's the flashiest, without a doubt.
That is a given. Glenn Harper. Shannon Baker. He's across the 34 to about the 35 as the first markers of the night come down. Bud Steen in charge of proceedings tonight. 10-yard return.
Illegal block. Winnipeg number 77.
It's Stan Mikowas singled out there. Here's a peek.
Stan Mikowas, see right in the middle of the back of Jay Hamilton. Good call by the official to start things off. Mikowas, I mean, that was blatant. That was a two-hander. Isn't that a hockey thing? Two-hander in the back?
Two-hander in the back. Bombers begin at the 24. Markers again. Austin with time. He's on target for Boyko. And he's close to a first down. Forced out by Malcolm Frank. Necessary yardage is attained by Winnipeg.
Well, the flag came out right at the beginning of that play. So there you see it's procedure against Winnipeg. We'll have to go back 5 and start first down at 15.
Illegal procedure. Winnipeg 84.
Eric Gulliford, usually a slot back, and usually a wideout, excuse me. He's a slot back tonight. Alan Boyko out at the wide receiver.
Austin missed a couple of games, 7 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Not an impressive ratio. On first and 15, they'll get a first down. Eric Gulliford, one of the starting slot backs along with Shannon Baker. The outside receivers tonight are Alan DeGaffenreid and Alan Boyko. And to run the ball, Dean Lytle and Leonard Jean-Pierre, with Blaze Bryant set to see some action tonight in that Bomber backfield as well. cover that average there.
Well, it's going to be tough running for Dean Lytle and Winnipeg tonight against this defense, led by the front four, Melvin Hunter, 11 sacks on the season. Benny Goods has 10, Derek McCready and Leroy Blue also up front. The linebackers are Ruck, Pless, and Mobley. And in the secondary, it's Cavis Reed and Malcolm Frank on the corners. Derek Beatty replaces Darian Hagan at halfback. He's joined by Glenn Rogers and Trent Brown.
Lytle picked up 6. This is 2nd and 4. And there's the first down. Gulliford makes his second catch of the drive. So your vote for the best linebacker in the league goes to 44, K.D. Williams.
Well, you know, there's so many great ones. There's a couple of great ones playing here tonight. You got
I kind of like 39 Edmonton.
Yeah, you got Willie Pless. There's K.D. Williams. You got Charlie Clemens, Angelo Snipes, who's having a super season. There's Willie Pless. Larry Ruck's also back there. I mean, this...
See, now you've mentioned every linebacker on both sides.
Well, that's just so when I talk to them after the game, they don't, you know.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. That's
say you missed
Get off the fence. Come on. Austin on first down. Oh, tight coverage, no flag.
Cavis Reed came over the top.
Leading the Gaffin raid, the intended target.
Co-leading the CFL in interceptions, and you just see Ken Austin kind of sidearm this to DeGaffin Reed over the middle, and it's quite a long throw. He's got to put more on that guy like Cavis Reed, who's been a ball hawk this season with 6 picks. Very well step in front of that one.
2nd and 10, Blue Bombers. Austin just shy of the 50. Shotgun, and he bobbled it. In time. Catch. Big hit. Eric Gulliford made the catch. And Trent Brown laid one on him.
And the talking begins. Gulliford saying, "You didn't hurt me." You know, the fumble snap almost hurts Ken Austin because Trent Brown goes more out of the middle when he drops the football. Then Gulliford goes down the seam, but watch the concentration when he gets pounded by Trent Brown right down. Huge hit by free safety Trent Brown, and Gulliford hangs on.
Gulliford's 3rd reception, he has 52 yards after picking up 28 with that catch. That's Blaze Bryant, his first carry since returning to the Bombers last week.
And Blaze Bryant had a shot at the Denver Broncos, didn't work out for him, so he's back in the lineup. Cal Murphy very happy to have him back. He's a slashing type of runner. Of course, had a season in 1994 where he was well over 1,200 yards rushing, and he only played in 16 games that year. So Cal Murphy very happy to have him back in the lineup.
Bryant picked up 7. Bombers set up at the 25, and the play is whistled down. Solid start for Austin.
Boy, he looks like he is.
Violation, Winnipeg number 5.
Until that.
He really looks like he's clicking on all cylinders. When Ken Austin's at his best, he's reading the defense, releasing the football quickly. You saw him throw a couple of hot passes early to Eric Gulliford. That's where he just raises up and dumps it off to Gulliford right off the line of scrimmage. And when Ken Austin's doing that, he's reading the defense. He's at his best.
Second and long. And almost picked off and then caught. Gotta be lucky to be good. Gulliford's having a good and lucky night.
Well, he made that big catch when he got pounded by Trent Brown over the middle and then gets a little bit lucky here. You see the ball kind of flutters. It's deflected right there by Willie Pless. It falls right into Eric Gulliford's hands, and got to be good to be lucky, and it gets a little bit lucky to be good.
And here's the goods stuff. That's Benny Goods with heat on Austin.
That's Benny delivering the goods on Ken Austin.
Murphy's Bombers pick up 10. And another first down. Austin, lots of time. Boyko the target. Tight coverage by Cavis Reed. Having a nice season with 6 interceptions, his number 24.
Yeah, well, he co-leads the CFL with interceptions, and guess who he's tied with? Glenn Rogers Jr., his teammate. And and also Al Jordan from Calgary, but real tight coverage on Alan Boyko. He tried to run that post pattern over the middle.
10th play of an impressive Blue Bomber drive. Ball set up at the 21. On 2nd and 10, Austin. Same play, same results.
Did we just run back the tape?
Looked like a replay, but Austin's hotter about the coverage this time.
But it was identical. Even the throw was exactly the same. A little bit high for Ken Austin. See, he gets the layers. Right there as Shannon Baker comes underneath and Alan Boyko over the top. But again, Kavis Reed, hey, he says to me, he just goes over to Cal Murphy, says, I've seen that one before. I'm right in the hip pocket.
We weren't expecting to see Troy Westwood for this game. He'd been ill with a virus, but made it back for game time. Little chip shot for Westwood, and it's 3-0 Winnipeg. Hey, that was a great drive. Hope that's an indication of what kind of ball game it's going to be. The Bombers took 5 minutes and 36 seconds off the clock in a 12-play drive. And now it's Danny McManus's turn. Room to run, he throws anyway, and has Sandusky far side. And the Eskimos have a first down.
Well, Jim Sandusky getting some playing time. Danny McManus back in the lineup after the bad knee. Sandusky comes in because Shalon Baker's on the bench. That also allowed Ron Lancaster to put Henry Williams back in the lineup, but boy, Sandusky makes a living off of catching that football when his quarterback starts scrambling. He just turns defensive backs all over the place once they start to scramble.
That was only Sandusky's 6th catch of the season, but it's for a first down in a 14-yard game. As Blunt gets it around the right side, and a nice run. Stopped by K.D. Williams, but he's out across midfield.
Well, Eric Blunt is 5th in the CFL in all-purpose yards and having a pretty good season rushing the football. In fact, he's on track to break the 1,000-yard mark in the rushing this year. And although Ron Lancaster will tell you he'd like to see his running game stay a little bit more consistent throughout the season, Eric Blunt's doing a super job for him.
Lancaster says they're not averaging enough yards per carry. It's somewhere around 3.8 between Blunt and Burse.
Yeah, and you're right, John, and they definitely need to be more productive in that running game. Ron Lancaster feels that for them to be successful, they need to run the football and run it successfully.
Blunt again, and he has it up for the first down. Jay Hamilton goes in. And it's Blunt who's the injured Eskimo.
We just talked about the importance of the running game for Ron Lancaster, and this would be huge loss.
Interesting thing about Eric Blunt, so far this season, he's averaged 109.9 yards per game in all-purpose yards. So he does more than carry the football out of the backfield.
No, he'll catch those little swing passes. He also returns kicks, and just crucial for this team to run the football successfully. And you can see right there, in the 7 wins the Edmonton Eskimos have had, they've averaged close to 100 yards rushing. In the 5 losses, it's been half that.
Simple story. That's running reality, I bet.
That's how important it is.
We'll take a quick timeout while they attend to Eric Blunt with the Bombers on top 3-0. Great night for it in Winnipeg. Over 28,000 tickets sold for this one this afternoon. We haven't had the official head count here, but no doubt it's the Bombers' biggest game of the season as Winnipeg chases Edmonton for 2nd spot in the West. McManus has a first down at the 50. Back in a hurry to throw, and he got it away. Someone turned the wrong way. Flutie was in the area, so was Sandusky. Who was the target?
Well, I think Flutie was the target as he opened up coming across the middle, but because of the pressure from Angelo Snipes, saw that Danny McManus had to throw that one, got away on him. You see Angelo Snipes, number 91, right there, get in there and hit McManus as he throws the ball. That makes it flutter high and over Darren Flutie's head.
Having quite a nice season, Angelo Snipes with 11 sacks so far this year. Hitting for his career high of 20. Second and 10, McManus shotgun and maybe a little too slow getting the ball into play. 5:49 to go in the opening quarter at Winnipeg.
Danny McManus calls all his own plays.
Illegal procedure. Edmonton line.
Okay. The whole line was off. Now
How can that be?
Well, you know, I can figure out the guards and the tackles because they can line up offside. But how does the center line up offside? How Ron Conop's got the ball in his hand?
Well, maybe he just didn't catch the number.
Maybe he just wanted to say that instead of saying, well, everyone except the center was offside.
Second and 15 now for the Eskimos. Again, the shotgun. And almost picked off on the far side. Damian Lyons had a chance.
Former Edmonton Eskimo, he covered too well on that play. I mean, he broke out there before the ball was thrown, was right near the sideline. Because the ball was thrown behind the intended receiver, he was there too quickly. You see the out pattern right here by Don Blair, and see how quickly the Damian Lyons gets out there, and then once he's out in front of Blair, he's got there too soon.
High kick for Harper. Coming down for Gully Ford. Pretty nice return, loose ball. I'm not sure if the whistle had gone or not. Bombers get it back regardless. It'll be first down. Winnipeg. 18 yards on the return. And Pleasant was in on the tackle. Close, but no fumble here. Played on that pin?
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay.
No flag, no foul.
This guy has punted miles and miles and miles in Canadian football. And Henry the Gizmo Williams has never run one back against Bob Cameron. Every other team in the league, every other punter, but not Cameron. And that record is still intact. A little feisty down there. Rough play penalty on the previous setup between these two teams, and now Sellers is a little upset. Let's bring in Greg Musselman.
Okay, thanks, John. Just a couple hours before tonight's game with the Eskimos, this fella here, Darcy Dolan, thought he might be kicking for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Troy Westwood had a virus. You were ready to go, though.
Yeah, that's what I came in for a couple days ago. It was just in case Troy was going to be, out of commission for the evening, and just turned out that, he was able to pull himself together for the game.
How is it trying to prepare, though, and not knowing for sure?
Well, it's something I've been getting used to over the last couple years. It's happened here and there with the way things have been going for me, but, you just got to be persistent as a kicker.
I guess just going to wait for your chance.
Yeah, I got to bide my time, and maybe I'll be in the right place at the right time one of these days.
Okay, thanks, Darcy.
Thanks.
Looking once again at a great pass to Jim Sandusky for 37 yards.
Well, it was a real key block by Tony Burst to just get K.D. Williams just enough to push him past Danny McManus, and then he finds the veteran Sandusky down the seam for the huge gain.
37 big yards for the Eskimos. Sets Edmonton up at the 42 of the first down. Early movement, no flags, however. Brown, the target, couldn't catch up to it. Pretty tight coverage by Shannon Garrett, number 23.
Now, Danny McManus knows that he's going to get man-to-man coverage and that Shannon Garrett's going to be one-on-one with one of his best, well, the best receiver in the CFL this year, and that's Eddie Brown. So we will see this play often throughout this game, and that's just Eddie Brown, you run deep, take off, I'm going to throw it up and let you run under it. And Shannon Garrett's got his work cut out for him tonight in that matchup.
Brown closing in on 1,000 yards. 904 yards receiving so far.
See, the interception still a problem for Danny McManus.
Second and 10, 42. Almost a first down spot the ball. Time ticking down in the opening quarter. Awfully close to a 10-yard gain. Eric Blunt injured a couple of plays ago. Doesn't look like he's going to be back in the first half anyway.
Well, usually what they'll do is they'll wrap him up with the ice pack on the ankle, see if the swelling can keep it down, then see how he reacts after a quarter, maybe even after halftime, see if he can put any weight on it and cut on it. He can return this football game.
How close? Perfect for the Eskimos by about a half a yard. So it'll be 1st and 10 Edmonton. One big play to Jim Sandusky really kept this drive alive. And then on 2nd and 10, McManus on target for Mark Tobert. So the Eskimos definitely in position to tie things up. And maybe take the lead. Tony Burch, the big fullback, averaging 3.7 yards a carry. Stopped by K.D. Williams after a 5-yard gain.
Tony Burch back in the lineup. He missed 8 games with a shoulder injury. Made his return last week versus Hamilton, and most of the contribution from him was on special teams. Think back to last week's game when he hit Sam Rogers on a special teams cover team and knocked him out of the football game.
This should be the last play of the opening quarter. Eskimos looking to convert 2nd and 5, and that'll do it. Darren Flutie has the first down and no markers anywhere as Flutie skipped inside the 15 with a 12-yard gain. Eskimos are threatening to take the lead on Murphy and the Bombers as quarter number 1 ends at Winnipeg Stadium.
Not a lot of offense in that first quarter, but some ill will, some bad blood. These two teams do not like each other, and they're going at each other relatively hard. You got Blaze Bryant with somewhat of a questionable call. Glenn Rogers Jr., who's arguably one of the best DBs in the league, got in his face. But you said you can do that to Blaze Bryant, Les.
Well, you know what? Part of talking is part of the football game. A lot of guys that come from different parts of the states, talking is part of the game. If you can take somebody out of their game verbally as well as physically, you got half the battle won. And I think Glenn Rogers Jr., he does it the best way, plus he can back it up. Now, the play that they called the penalty on, I think it's something when you grab somebody by the ankles and you get both ankles, it's a perfection tackle. So you get up and you whip, wait. And you get up and you whip the legs around to show that it was a good tackle. The guy gets mad at him,
you gotta
pushes
be
him
joking. That was what you call a sucker. I mean, and Bryant was dumb because he did retaliate. There's no question. That's a stupid penalty. But Rogers should got a penalty as well for what he did. He didn't have to add to it. He made the tackle. That was enough. He didn't have.
As one great coach said once before, Vince Lombardi said before, hitting is the football game.
Les, watch this. Watch this right there. Does he need that? Yeah. Oh, that's part of the game.
Sure.
Come on.
The other part isn't.
Yeah.
That wasn't that.
And
that was
objectionable conduct.
He who retaliates is always caught.
Right.
Never the guy that starts it.
But did you see what Cal Murphy did immediately after Bryant takes the penalty? Yeah. You're on the sidelines. So what did Vince Lombardi say?
Vince Lombardi said, dancing is a contact sport. Football is a hitting sport.
I thought I said that.
No,
No, I think you said, boy, Kent's really not throwing the ball that well this year. But he has had some zip in this first quarter of play. Danny McManus, he has also played not too bad. He's got the team moving right now. The Edmonton Eskimos
He's doing a good job of reading the blitz by Winnipeg, and he's getting some quickies off inside on him. And I'm surprised that Winnipeg's not using K.D. Williams as an outside pass rusher like we saw in the last time we did their game.
Well, the last time these two teams got together, it was in Edmonton at Commonwealth Stadium. The Bombers ended up winning by 11. They are currently up by 3. Let's see what happens in the second quarter of play as we return to Winnipeg Stadium.
Eskimos have a great opportunity to at least tie this thing up. Set up with a first down inside the Winnipeg 15. First play of the second quarter coming right up. McManus has looked good on this drive. Tony Burst, he's down to the 6. K.D. Williams, number 44, as Burst got in behind Leo Groenwagen, who's having a great season for Edmonton, number 59.
Well, Rod Conoff is back at center. Leo Groenwagen was forced to play center when he was out last week, but now their best in the offensive line when he's back at guard, Connacht's back at center, and you can see how that right side opened up for Tony Burst to pick up the yardage.
Nice burst of speed there.
I got you.
Gain is 7. Eskimos set up at the 6. This play began back at the 31. Austin drove the Bombers impressively for a field goal to take the lead. McManus himself, and he gets the touchdown. Danny McManus, not noted as a running quarterback.
Unbelievable. It was a broken play, John. He wanted to give the ball to Tony Burst, but Burst was in the wrong hole. It looked like McManus wanted to hand the ball to Burst through the guard center gap. That's between Rod Connaught and Leo Groenwegen. Actually, it was to Willie Pless, and then he breaks to the outside because Pless didn't even look for the football. It was a broken play, but turns out good for Edmonton.
6-yard touchdown for Danny McManus as the Eskimos take the lead. It's not how you get it done.
They don't ask how, just how many.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's 6. Sean Fleming. And it's now 7-3. Eskimos on top of the Blue Bombers at Winnipeg Stadium. Who is this man? Well, he's in the end zone. Danny McManus. Here's another look at the speedy Danny McManus racing to the end zone for the first touchdown of this ball game.
Unbelievable broken play. Here's Willie Pless. He doesn't know he's going to get the football, so he just continues on, tries to pick up a block, and McManus looked a little bit like a tailback coming out of the backfield.
Kind of snuck in there at the goal line.
Maybe I should say tailback / fullback. He's kind of a big guy.
Nice drive, though. Nonetheless, 7 plays, 79 yards. McManus finished it off with a 6-yard rush. Standing between Glenn and I here tonight, Pete Best, the original drummer for the great group, the Beatles, out of Liverpool. You're playing after the game here tonight, and before the game you've already played.
We played, yeah, did a little bit before the game. Rain stopped play, but we're going back on again afterwards, weather permit.
They all talk the same over there,
now,
don't they?
Pete, I have a question now. For those of us, or for those people who may not know the story, what happened back in the day with the Beatles? You remember the band when it was Johnny and the Moondogs? Do I understand?
No.
Okay.
That was just before my time. Now.
Okay, before your time. Okay, what happened there?
Basically, what happened is joined them August 60, stayed with them till August 62, and we played the Cavern the night before, which is a famous, rock cellar in Liverpool.
Right.
And got called into the office by Brian Epstein. Went there the following morning. So when I went in, he was a little bit apprehensive. So talked around the subject for a while, and then he just unloaded it. He turned around and said, "Pete, got bad news for you. Boys want you out." And Ringgold joined the band on Saturday.
Really?
And a lot of people think that you're the unluckiest guy in the whole world, right?
A lot of people do, but
now you have some you're making some money off the Beatles. The new album, the Anthology 1.
Anthology 1, yeah. I'm on 10 tracks on that particular one.
So you're getting paid.
Yeah, long last, few royalty checks are bouncing through.
Well, what about the new CD, Back to the Beat, and the new band?
Yeah, Pete Best Band. We're just finishing up the world tour, which is Back to the Beat. We've got a new CD out, which is called Back to the Beat, which was released in conjunction for that. And playing here tonight, we'll actually finish in Canada before we start our next world tour. So if anyone's interested, they're at the game tonight. We'll be pleased to sign copies of the CD for you.
Well, now, like Pete, I've been, messing around with the guitar a little bit. And, I'm playing a couple Beatles tunes, I'm back. I'm just wondering, like we can get the band together and maybe, jam?
Well, it's been done before, so I don't see why it should finish now.
Hey, Pete, good luck tonight and have a good time after the game with the concert here.
Thank you.
Now, it might be 32 or so years later, but you finally got to the bottom of the story, and I'm impressed.
Well, I know pretty much everyone's heard it, but I just wanted, for anyone out there who may not have heard what exactly happened, there you have it.
Join us next week, folks, because we're going to do the Kennedy assassination. We're going to
And Pete's band will also have a new CD coming out called Beyond the Beatles. And that'll be coming out, when's that, Pete?
That one will be out October 3rd this year, international distribution. and good tracks on it. Be some original material as well, so it's well worth listening to.
Now, Pete, before you go, what do you think of our game of football?
It's different, but I'm enjoying it.
Are you? Well,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Cal Murphy and the Bombers trailing the Edmonton Eskimos. 12:55 to go till halftime. Glenn Rogers Jr. is the injured Eskimo being tended to down at the 35. Both quarterbacks have moved the football well so far tonight. McManus took it for the touchdown. Ken Austin, an impressive drive for the game's first points, a field goal. And now the Bombers are looking at 3rd down and inches. And Rogers will have to be replaced by Reggie Pleasant, who is the only other member of the secondary.
Well, we want to say thanks to Pete Best. Thanks a lot for coming up. Good luck on the tour. And just before you go, I got to get your autograph.
My pleasure.
You'll be in the band tonight now.
Well, you know, we're going to jam later.
Definitely book this place now.
That'll sell tickets. 3rd and less than a yard, and no markers down, so the Bombers will advance the ball and get another 3 cracks at it.
Well, the key is to get the lowest, and you can see how Winnipeg gets real low. Melvin Hunter gets up in the air. That's the key on short yardage. Get lower than the defense. Behind that white line.
This will be a Winnipeg first down at the 25. Austin throws back against the flow. He has Shannon Baker. Nice gain. He's out to the 50. 24 yards for Baker, and Reggie Pleasant on the tackle.
Well, I'm not big on this slot back screen, but Guy Earl gets a piece of Malcolm Frank with the help of Dave Van Conen. That springs Shannon Baker. Perfectly executed play. 2 offensive linemen make the key blocks on some DBs in the mismatch. Guy Earl, Dave Van Conen.
24 the game. Bombers are at the 50. Austin looking sharp. Lytle had the catch and then lost the ball, but I think the Bombers do get it back. It bounced back at the line of scrimmage, and Van Conen, the center, comes up with it.
Well, it's hard to see whether or not this was an incomplete pass or a dropped. You see Lytle coming out of the backfield, catches it. Well, yeah, oh yeah, he actually has possession, takes a couple of steps, and then it's knocked out of there by Larry Ruck. Ken Austin just taking the safety belt, dumping the football off to his big fullback, and it was stripped by Ruck.
2nd and 10. Austin goes deep. Oh, one hand on it, couldn't bring it down. Just a little too far for Shannon Baker.
Well, how about a luxury for Ron Lancaster and the Edmonton Eskimos? When they go to the nickel package or put that extra defensive back in the football game, they go to their bench and look over at number 6, who's a pretty darn good one in the history of the CFL, and Reggie Pleasant, a guy who has 47 career interceptions. He's going down the sideline on the wheel route, run by Shannon Garrett, and is step for step and gets that hand in there.
Obi will be talking about that guy somewhere tonight, won't he?
Yeah, oh yeah. 47 interceptions, all in Toronto, and of course he played for Obi.
Good special teams coverage by the Bombers. And KD leads the way. Cameron's punt leveled 45 yards, and KD was there first. We zoom in on the 17-yard line where the Eskimos have a first down. McManus, 5 of 8 for 80 yards, and he has the touchdown, the 6-yard run. Here's the heat. McManus can't get it away. Glenn Scribner.
His brother Colin.
I wrote Glenn down.
Well, Glenn plays for the opposition, of course, hurt.
Yeah.
And back in Edmonton, and you know,
well, that's why I wanted to mention him, because he hasn't been mentioned a lot lately.
Yeah, I know you want to get him in there.
56 decline.
I know you want to get him in there, but I'll tell you what, I asked Cal Murphy about Colin Scribner, before the football game, says, this guy gets better every single game out. And when Gerald Wilcox was injured, they had some flexibility with the Canadian ratio, but Colin Scribner has answered the bell, and now he's the Canadian in the lineup, and he's a permanent fixture in that defensive line.
Couple of sacks this season for Colin Scribner, who wears his older brother's number. And did Brown make the catch? Yeah, it did. Far side of the field, Eddie Brown ran underneath it. 26 yards and a big first down for Danny McManus.
Well, due to the injury of Eric Blunt, the Edmonton Eskimos have had to completely abandon their offensive strategy. They're going all with the 5-receiver pack now, and you see Eddie Brown, the big part, of course, on that catch is over the opposite shoulder and keeps his feet in bounds. Unbelievable for the #1 receiver in the league, but right now, Edmonton going strictly with the 5-receiver pack, 1 fullback in the backfield. That's not what they like to do, but they're forced to because of injury.
McManus on target for Darren Flutie, and it'll depend on the spot of the ball. Let's bring in Greg Musselman for the latest on Eric Blunt.
Okay, thanks, Johnny. I just talked to Eric Blunt a couple of moments ago and asked him if he'd get back into the game. His ankle is packed in ice. He said he's not sure, but at the moment he's got the coat on, and he looked to be in a lot of pain.
Well, it's a bad sign when the shoe and the sock are completely off, and he didn't even tiptoe on that ankle, so I don't think we'll see Eric Blunt back.
Flutie grabbed 9. This is 2nd and 1. And Tony Burse,
I'll tell you what,
may or may not have it. So it was a long yard, about 1.5 yards actually, and there's your pal.
3rd in the CFL in tackles. Whenever this team needs a big play, 44 comes up with one, and it's going to be awful close. I mean, he read that play perfectly and was in the backfield 3 yards deep when Burse got the football. Katie Williams wants the bird's eye view, or I guess it would be the gopher's eye view here in the prairies.
Yeah, see, now he's mad. He messed up the play. He didn't quite stop at 3rd and 1.5 yards.
He's flashy. You can tell by the front teeth how flashy he is.
Have you seen the eyes tonight?
Well, he's fun to watch.
Eskimos do get the first down. The Edmonton 46. McManus has Brown again, and Brown has another first down and yards to spare. He's just across the 50.
You know, I think Ron Lancaster, if this offense continues to move down the field with the 5-receiver pack, he might just decide that this is a pretty good offense to run throughout the season, or the remainder of it anyway. I mean, he's a guy who likes 2 backs in the backfield, likes to establish the running game, likes to use this straight drop-back passing game with the 2 backs back there protecting him, but now he's back there with the 5 receivers, and it's working.
14-yard gain, the Eskimos at the Bomber 50. Tony Burse. And he's had to pick up the slack with Eric Blunt out of the ball game. Noted as a blocking back or a fullback more than Blunt is, but
yeah, well, he's
getting the job done effectively tonight so far.
He sure is. I mean, he comes into the game with just 12 running plays where he actually handled the ball. He only had 44 yards, 3 touchdowns, mind you. You know he's going to get it down on the goal line, but Eric Blunt's the guy who carries the mail. Tonight it'll be Tony Burse with Blunt on the bench.
He grabs 4. This is 2nd and 6. McManus will put it up. And flags everywhere for the coverage on Darren Flutie.
And Darius Watson, providing the coverage, went over the top and basically tackled Darren Flutie, and that's what the flag is. Darius Watson in the lineup because Bobby Evans is out, and this little bump and run.
Number 26.
There's the grab on the shoulder pad, and here comes the tackle, and
Well, he could have taken 2 penalties on that play.
well, yeah, I mean, that's... And Darius Watson, the one that got hurt on it. Looks like he's holding that shoulder.
Bombers have taken the majority of the penalties. 57 yards in total. With a first down, the Eskimos are at the 35. Far side. Made the catch. It looked a little dangerous out there, though, didn't it?
That was a dangerous throw out there. Forey Duckett. I mean, he's the new guy in there. And
how do you like this name? Forey Duckett.
Forey Duckett. Now, you're going to see him break out to the flat on Eddie Brown. Now, if he looks back right now, he's going to the end zone. But this is his first game in the lineup. Bobby Evans is out. Duckett comes in as the nickel back. And he just wants to make sure he has his man covered before he starts looking back to the ball. Does a nice job of covering Eddie Brown, but I tell you what, he could have had the pick there.
Tobert and Sandusky, the wide receivers. McManus has to get out of the pocket on second down. As Sandusky, he spun around and should have the first down. He does. Forced out by Gerald Vaughn.
Danny McManus was in that Calgary game 2 weeks ago, came off the field just before the half in the meat wagon. I mean, he was on the golf cart because of a bad knee. He just took off scrambling on that play, and that knee looks 100%.
McManus has looked sharp tonight, so has Ken Austin, but McManus has really taken control of the game. The last couple of drives has one touchdown, threatening again. Intended for Brown, and K.D. Williams covering again. He's been everywhere tonight.
Well, he does a real nice job of reading Danny McManus's eyes and then just flowing to the football. K.D. Williams basically free on the play. You see right in the middle of your screen, he's free to drop back, reads the eyes and the throwing motion of McManus, and then steps right into Eddie Brown, who he knew that K.D. Williams was coming and kind of held up on his route across the middle. I mean, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. McManus good on 10 of 14 for 143. Looking at second and 10 and a big charge here. Flutie made the catch, but he's wrapped up. Short of the first down.
The key to this play, John, is Angelo Snipes. He comes out the corner untouched, forces Danny McManus to throw the hitch screen to Darren Flutie too soon. That's the type of play that you need to have time to develop, get those linemen to pull out there and get in front of the receiver, but Angelo Snipes came off the corner, and Danny McManus had to get rid of it, didn't have time to set up the plays.
Enters Sean Fleming, good on 13 of 16. Nice little percentage there, 81.3. And he's definitely within range. It'll be spotted by Harper at the 25. Out of the ball yard, the Eskimos lead by a touchdown. 10-3, Edmonton leading the Blue Bombers right here in Winnipeg. Back live in Winnipeg, the home of rock and roll. Hey, we had Pete Best up here tonight, but this is the hometown of Neil Young, Burton Cummings, the Guess Who,
and Angelo Snipes. And here he comes off the corner on that last play. Put the pressure on Danny McManus and forcing him to throw that ball too soon. Untouched, McManus had to let it go.
Austin back with the football on first down. What a great catch there. How did he hang on? Eric Gulliford again, and he's been superb tonight. Just shy of the first down, he picks up 9. Well, I'll make it 8.
This is Eric Gulliford right here. Take a look at him coming in there on that quick hot pass. We talked about it earlier. See Willie Pless goes. Singor Mobley cuts across into the outside, and then Gulliford just tries to find the hole between Mobley and Larry Ruck.
Second down to the pitch goes. Blaze Bryant. Slowed initially, but second effort gets the first down.
What a
great
job
run by Blaze Bryant.
I'll tell you what, it was a great run by Blaze Bryant, because Malvin Hunter had forced Guy Earl back into the backfield and almost knocked down Blaze Bryant. A tremendous power rush by Malvin Hunter up the middle. Almost disrupted the play completely, and if it wasn't for Blaze Bryant on his own, you can see that pocket back there was completely destroyed. Guy Earl was 5 yards deep in his own backfield, but second effort by Blaze Bryant.
First down, Winnipeg. Austin shotgun. Here comes the charge. He flipped it ahead. A little shovel pass for Bryant. Read decently by the Eskimo defense. In the middle of things there, Larry Ruck for 1.
Well, I tell you what, it's
and
going to
Willie
be
Pless.
hard running for Blaze Bryant. Here's a defense ranked number 1 in against the pass, number 3 against the run, number 1 in points given up, and they lead the league with 52 sacks, on pace to break the record in the Canadian Football League.
Eric Blunt might be finished for the night.
Yeah, Eric Blunt head to the locker room.
2nd and 8. Not quite. Shannon Baker couldn't hang on. Derek Beatty was covering, number 17. Austin almost had it. It'll be 3rd down. The Bombers are kicking away while Blunt hits the locker.
Coming up in our Corral halftime, we'll preview tomorrow's big game between the Stamps and the Argos. Les has got his pom-poms out. He's cheering for Danny McManus, all that and more.
You're looking at the greatest punt return guy in the history of the Canadian Football League, the Giz, Henry Williams, 23 punt return touchdowns in his CFL career, but he's never taken one all the way against Bob Cameron, the Bomber kicker. And Cameron has even made 4 tackles on the Giz to keep that record intact.
And there's all his touchdowns for the Giz. I love the way Bob Cameron was telling us about the story. He goes, now that is the key matchup of the game.
It certainly is.
Me against Gizmo.
Me against the Giz.
Yeah, I can tell.
6 against 2.
Deep down in Cameron's mind, he was thinking, I just hope I never see him at a game.
Well, Cameron is holding his record intact so far tonight. The Giz gets another crack at it. He's got some room out there, and there was a great block on Bryant. But Lytle got over to make the tackle and keep Cameron's record intact.
I didn't see who threw the block, but Blaze Bryant got the old D-cleater. Gizmo Williams took it to the outside. I'm not sure which Edmonton Eskimo picked up the block on Bryant. You see him break to the outside. Shannon Garrett and Chase, and we couldn't see it from that angle as Lytle pushes Williams out of bounds, but wow.
Now there is another flag down there, but I thought the block that we were talking about,
no, that was
looked
clean.
pretty good.
No, that was
Bryant.
clean.
No infraction on the play.
There you go.
I don't think so. That was a clean block.
Nice call, partner. Yeah, now this is the interesting part, or at least another part.
That's amazing stat. You know, 19 called back. You look at the next 2 in the list, Earl Winfield and Mike Clements. Add them up, that's 18. That's 1 less than Gizmo's had called back. That is amazing stat.
Some of those touchdowns called back were for decently minor infractions that didn't necessarily spring him for the touchdown. I mean, some were legitimate calls, no doubt.
Yeah, he had 1 called back last week against Hamilton when Don Blair got the penalty and Gizmo was going in the end zone.
That's the case in point, and here's an Edmonton first down. McManus to Tony Burse.
Tony Burse is so strong. I mean, he gets those hard yards up inside, can catch the ball out of the backfield. He weighs 238 pounds, runs the 40 in about 4.4, and he benches. Now, I looked it up. He can bench a baby elephant. 450 pounds.
Is that an average-sized baby elephant?
That's a regular.
How old is that baby elephant? I guess what I should ask.
Basically a newborn baby elephant.
Newborn, okay.
Yeah, 500 pounds when they're born. Looked it up. And Burse, you see, he can just bench press. He can bench press. You put 3 of the defensive backs for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in a bag, he could bench them. That's how strong he is.
Couple of yards there. It'll be 2nd and 8 with the Eskimos on top, 10-3. Brown to the near side. From the 45, McManus behind Flutie. He dropped it, but picked it up again. And still going. Darren Flutie inside the 10. Some fans here not liking the fact that that wasn't called back. But it was a lateral.
Well, John, how many times have we described a play by Darren Flutie with another huge play? Flutie picks it up on the 1 hop. He drops it initially, throw him behind the line of scrimmage, so it's a fumble. He can pick it up and run with it, and then weaves his way down the sideline.
32 yards.
One of the huge stats I love on Darren Flutie, in the playoffs. You think the guy's going to rise to the occasion in the playoffs? 117 yards per game in his playoffs.
Eskimos set up at the 13. They heat Sandusky made the catch, and they're not calling it a touchdown quite yet. Down at the 1. Eskimos signaling touchdown down there, but the referee has a spot at the 1-yard line.
Well, Sandusky, if his knee touches the ground before he gets in the end zone, which it does right there, he's down. Gerald Vaughn gets him on the ground, so the official was right on the spot and calls it. It would have been Sandusky's first touchdown of the season. Of course, it wasn't, so the big guys come in, the elephant team, actually. Speaking of elephants.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, they come in.
Smooth segue.
Tony Bursch is in there, and Willie Pless will join the group, and they'll pound it in this 1 yard.
There's Willie, and that's the touchdown. Willie Pless.
You see what happened is Danny McManus went to the sideline after the last short yardage play where McManus had to take off and run it, and he says, hey, Willie, okay, here's the deal. You run by me, I hand you the football, but remember, you got to get the ball before you run through there. So Willie goes, okay, I got it. Let's try it next time. They go out there, execute it perfectly. Pless is in the end zone.
Run the ball, Willie. Here's number 39 from a yard away, untouched.
Help from Ed Cousy and Thomas Raham off that left side, and Willie Pless, that's the easiest 6 points he'll ever score.
Bombers scored first. The Eskimos have scored a couple of touchdowns and a field goal since then. McManus has looked very impressive tonight.
He has.
Called a good game, hasn't he?
He really has, John, and he's called a good game in an offense that they just don't practice very often. I mean, you're going to take a look right here. This is Willie Pless right here in the picture. He's just going to take off with the blocks of Thomas Raham and Ed Cousy on the left side of that line. They down block and look at Willie Pless, untouched to the end zone. Greg Clark can't get there in time.
Well, a little damp here tonight. Doesn't often rain like this time of the year in my old hometown.
Well, it's a good thing that they needed a shoehorn to get the fans in here because they'll stay nice and warm. They're huddled up together. It's almost 30,000. We haven't had the official number, but they had pre-sold over 28. And they need some offense out of their team right now so they can have something to cheer about.
Here's the Eskimo kickoff by Fleming. Gulliford. Could be a nice return bring here for Winnipeg. Markers are down as Gulliford slipped while cutting at the 35.
Late flag thrown too. Sort that one out. Looks like it's going against Winnipeg on an illegal block. Probably happened right at the end of the...
Holding. Winnipeg 88.
That's Sean Graham, a special teams guy from UBC in his second CFL season. McManus on a roll tonight. He's engineered a couple of touchdowns. The last one covering 59 yards. He scored quickly that time. Suits?
Wow, big play by Darren Flutie when he tiptoed down the sideline for big yardage, helped in that drive. And McManus running an offense he doesn't practice a lot, the 5 receivers.
Now it's Ken Austin's turn. Gulliford has had a great game. Not quite a first down, about 7 yards there with 1:09 to go till halftime.
Eric Gulliford, here's another guy who's 4th in the CFL in all-purpose yards, 7th in punt returns, and 5th in kickoff returns. Having a big night tonight at the receiver position with Eric Gulliford, Ken Austin hooking up a bunch of times already. There's his yardage on the day. Probably the only receiver that'll get close to 1,000 yards for Winnipeg this season.
Austin will have the first down. Boyko made the catch. Number 17. Number 79 for the Eskimos, Derek McCready, has really been a welcome addition to Edmonton's defensive front so far this season. And he asked me to pass along best wishes to his mom, Maureen, who's in hospital back in Toronto, so that's hi from Derek, Mom. Boyko again, out near the 55.
Well, you know, right now, John, Derek McCready and the Edmonton a lot of zone defense. And when you run zone and Ken Austin knows you're in zone, you're in trouble. He'll nickel and dime you all the way down the field with 48 seconds left and Winnipeg at midfield. Lots of time for some Bomber points before the half.
18 yards the game with 44 seconds to go. Austin couldn't quite get enough on it. Looking for Dean Lytle. And there was some big-time heat on the Bomber quarterback that time.
Yeah, well, that time, see, just as I was talking about the zones that Edmonton was playing, they changed it up, went with a stunt. 2 linebackers on the blitz, and you can see how it confused Ken Austin early. He doesn't see the zone defense, doesn't get that steady diet. Now he has to look around for a second receiver. See Larry Ruck had come on his blitz, and that's how you got to do with Ken Austin. Change it up, don't give him the same look, or he'll kill you.
40 seconds to the half. 2nd and 10, Winnipeg. Austin with time, and in tight coverage. Baker makes the catch. Beatty was covering, and there's a flag back at the line. Doesn't look like good news for Winnipeg.
Holding. Winnipeg 39.
Dean Lytle.
Back Lytle, yeah.
He's trying to plead his case, but that never works.
Too many penalties for the Bombers.
Well, you know, they came into the game basically in the middle of the attacking penalties. The Canadian Football League, Cal Murphy won't stand for that. You know, when he goes into halftime, he'll have a few words to say about the penalty situation.
2nd and 20, and Austin won't get it away. A whole bunch of Eskimos were there. Mobley was there. Martin was there. And good.
Harold Martin was in on the blitz, and how about having a great guy on your team? Harold Martin, here's a guy who has 3 sacks coming into the game. He plays linebacker for you, rush end, and can play free safety if you get an injury. Went to college in Utah. He's a very versatile football player, very strong, good speed, and can play a lot of positions for Ron Lancaster.
Position he lines up in most is behind Malvin Hunter, who has 11 sacks. This guy's now got 4. He doesn't get into the game all that often.
Just add to that Eskimo total. Mentioned it earlier, they're on pace to break the CFL record for team sacks in a season. That was set, of course, by Calgary back in 1986.
Here's the Canadian rifle against the Giz again.
Uh-oh.
And this time he keeps it away from Henry Williams. Return is out near the 50 with 23 seconds left.
Well, Don Blair caught that punt, and I mentioned it earlier how Don Blair got the penalty against Hamilton. Gizmo was running into the end zone for what would have been his 24th touchdown. So I guess what Ron said to Don, and I asked him about it, he said he didn't really get mad at me, but I guess what he said to him, he says, listen, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put you back on punt returns, and you catch him. And then when you're running, you see, you get the other perspective, right? Now you run with the football and see what it's like to get that penalty and, you know, have one called back.
Blair is in at wide receiver now, playing to the near side. Markers are down. And that play whistled down well before it was grabbed. Darius Watson, number 26. Easy pick there, but the play had been dead well before that.
Yeah, they blew it dead. Charlie Clemens pretty there. You get procedure against Edmonton. I was gonna say Clemens was pretty excited after the play, so it was obviously going against Edmonton. But Darius Watson was hoping that that one just would continue because he stepped underneath that ball and was gone.
It's not halftime yet. 22 seconds to go, but I guess they're adding maybe 1 or 2 ticks to the clock, or yes, they are, a couple. Eskimos under McManus have been very impressive through 5 possessions. Well, at least through the last 3 possessions anyway.
Well, you know, I mean, even in those 2 and 5 play drives, they regained some field position back, and then of course got some points out of the last 3, and the last 3 drives, and with that different type of offense, Don Blair getting a chance to play with Eric Blunt out, they're playing with the 5 receivers.
front seven is extremely tough to run against. And that's really how Winnipeg won that game in Edmonton back in July. Cut down the Eskimo running game.
Well, yeah, I mean, back then they held Eric Blunt to 27 yards rushing on 6 carries. Of course, K.D. Williams having a big game and also coming up with a key interception late in that game off Danny McManus to win it. So he took it back for a touchdown. Those were the keys to their last meeting.
Should be the last play of the opening half. First again, and zeros are up. There goes the gun. Solid first quarter for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Edmonton Eskimos were terrific in the second quarter. And Ron Lancaster's squad full value for a 17-3 lead at the half.
CFL Live at the half. Brought to you by Corel, world leader in CD-ROM technology.
Welcome to our control studio. The Edmonton Eskimos and Danny McManus doing a pretty good job when it comes to the blitz. Coach, why?
I think Danny's looked extremely sharp with the layoff, picking up the blitz as far as reading it. And his inside receivers, especially Darren Flutie, are getting inside the coverage. The Winnipeg halfbacks got to take away the inside a lot better than they have tonight when they blitz, and Danny Mac's taking advantage of that situation.
I'm just glad to hear you say that Danny Mac's playing very well.
Okay, Les Brown, get up the Danny Mac pom-poms. We know we won you a Grey Cup in BC. You were teammates at... What'd you guys call him? The equalizer?
The
oh, okay, sorry, the surgeon.
Well, you know what? Bob mentioned Darren Flutie, and that catch just should never have counted. That set up a touchdown, and that was a ridiculous call. Earlier in the year, the officials were getting yelled at by the coaches, but now they've been pretty good. Now look at this play. That ball is dropped. It's a forward pass. They call that a completion. He runs it down almost to the goal line. So that just should never happen. I can't believe that's going on in this league. This is supposed to be a professional league with professional referees.
The bounce goes your way.
Yeah, when things are going well, you get the bounces, and that's what's happened with Danny Mac this half.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to get
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have to step it up defensively in this football game, and you made a good point earlier on. Last time we saw K.D. Williams, he was a terror, but they had him on the outside. This time they've got him on the inside.
I don't know. He played so well against Ottawa with he and Angelo Snipes coming off the edge. I think that's a real tough tandem to handle, and obviously the Blue Bomber coaching staff feels like Katie's better inside and maybe for their total defense, but just having those two guys coming off the edge, boy, they look like they could raise heck in any backfield.
Well, I was looking forward to K.D. Williams getting into the backfield and smiling a little bit with those gold teeth and all. He has no reason to smile as of yet. His club's down big time at the half. We'll take a short break. When we come back, there's still plenty more on the CFL Live on TSN.
CFL Legends brought to you by Corel. He was All-Canadian wide receiver 7 times. More on Tommy Joe Coffey in just a moment. Tommy Joe Coffey began his CFL career in Edmonton in 1959. After 2 seasons, he left but returned in 1962 and earned 3 All-Canadian team berths from 62 to 66. In 1967, he moved east to Hamilton, where 4 times he was voted All-Canadian. Upon his retirement in 1973, Coffey had caught passes for more than 10,000 yards and led Hamilton to Grey Cup wins in 1967 and again in 1972. You can see more on Tommy Joe Coffey and other CFL legends at the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in Hamilton.
Tomorrow, the most anticipated CFL matchup this season will take place as the Toronto Argonauts are home to the Calgary Stampeders. It's a battle of the best down at Skydome. This is going to be a great game. The Stamps 9-3. The Argos are 10-2. Nobody's scored more points in Calgary this season. Hey, but Toronto has one more win. Doug Flutie facing his old teammates in what is a probable Grey Cup preview.
It was strange for me today. I walked over into the locker room to say hi to some people, and just to walk into the locker room and see all the Calgary equipment and mine's over in the other locker room, it's really a strange feeling. To walk out on the field against the guys that I think more than anything, when I walk out on the field and go against guys that I've been practicing against for 4 years, I'll be very comfortable. because of the recognition factor and knowing who's where. A lot of times in this league, the revolving door at the positions, you don't know who you're lining up against half the time. And at least now I'll be familiar with what I'm facing.
When we sit and watch films, you can see that the Argos offense is very similar to ours now. I think Doug has stepped in here and is running basically all the plays that we ran in Calgary. He's brought in our playbook to Toronto, and we believe it's the best playbook, so obviously they have it now, so the two best playbooks are going against each other. But it's funny to kind of watch those little things that go on and see Paul Masadi running the same patterns that I did, and Tyrone Williams catching some touchdowns that Pitts used to, and it's interesting to watch.
Interesting to watch, to say the least. Is this going to be a great football game or what? You got Flutie versus Garcia. There are so many interesting elements.
You see that hug there between Flutie and Garcia? I guarantee you Flutie with doing all the hugging. Garcia doesn't care for Flutie that much, and that's a fact. I'm just going to make that comment really quickly. But what I want to also say, Darren, I want to make that comment. It's a fact. But I'm going to say something else as well. I cannot believe that the odds makers in Las Vegas have favored Calgary for this game. Calgary is a 1-point favorite. If I'm the Argos, I'm offended by that. And I mean,
if Calgary... I'm Doug Flutie, I'm offended by what you said.
I'm sure he is, too. But it's a fact. You're still talking about that. I'm talking about the odds makers now. Can you guys believe that Calgary's favored after losing 2 in a row? And Garcia hasn't played great in the last 2 games.
I think probably a lot of that is based on how the Argos lost their last game, because they've lost to a last-place team by a lot of points. Otherwise, I agree with you. I think Toronto should have been favored at home. And I think it's going to be interesting in this particular matchup. We have the 2 best head coaches in the Canadian Football League coming off of losses in the biggest game of the year. And it's going to be interesting to see which one does the most to make the best adjustments to win this football game.
You know what, gentlemen, when we talk about offense, what I'm looking forward to is the defense. It's going to be interesting to see how Doug Flutie fares against a very, very tough Calgary defense. Now, while they battle for football supremacy in the Canadian Football League, there's a great playoff battle tomorrow night. The BC Lions and the Saskatchewan Roughriders will clash. BC, they got the #1 team in the CFL when it comes to rushing. Saskatchewan, though, last week against Ottawa, only allowed 8 yards rushing. The last 3 weeks, they've only given up 146 yards on the ground. And how about Keith Rylance? He gets the start for Saskatchewan. Gord Miller got a chance to talk to Heath in BC Place.
Thanks very much, Heath. Your second CFL start comes against the BC Lions at a time when your team would seem to need a spark.
Yeah, most definitely. This is a big game for us. We had some bad things happen last week, as everyone is well aware of, and one way for the players on this team to erase those feelings is to play well tomorrow.
Both these teams are 3-9. The Lions are talking about making a run at the playoffs, and yet we're not hearing that kind of optimism out of Saskatchewan yet. Why is that?
Well, I think it was tough after last week. It was a game that we kind of squandered away, and it put a lot of damper on a lot of things that we looked going into that game. Maybe could have came with a few more positive things, but you know, whatever has happened is in the past, and we really need to focus on playing good football, and that's our main priority coming into this game.
Last week, their defense shut down the CFL's most potent offense, led by Doug Flutie. What did you see on film that they've done well?
They're a good defensive football team. They put a lot of pressure. They bring a lot of different looks. I know that they're going to come after us, and we know that too. So offensively, we've come in with the attitude that we've got to establish a little bit of the running game, and I'm sure they're well aware of that aspect too. So they're going to give us a lot of different looks, and I can guarantee they're going to bring a lot of pressure.
I'm sure you're well aware of the fact that there's probably a quarterbacking job on the line in Saskatchewan, that someone can reach out and grab it. You haven't played in 5 weeks. How anxious are you to get back on the field?
Well, I'm anxious to get back out there and compete. You know, it's been a long 5 weeks, and it's been 5 weeks that I wish I could erase from. But it's a situation that happened, and I've dealt with it, and now I'm ready to play again.
Keith, thanks very much, and best of luck against BC tomorrow night.
All right, thank you.
Keith Rylance and the Saskatchewan Roughriders take on the BC Lions. The pregame show starts at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific tomorrow night. Darren?
Thanks very much, Gord. There is no quarterbacking controversy when it comes to the BC Lions. Damon Allen is the man, and they've been going like this ever since they got him.
Let me tell you, this is going to be one interesting game to watch, basically because both defenses are very tight. They don't like giving up any yardages either in the air or on the ground. But I think the advantage here has to go to BC. Damon Allen right now is ranked 2nd in pass efficiency with 94.5, right behind Doug Flutie. The man missed 4 games before he came in, and now he's 2nd.
Yeah,
ranked 2nd.
And not only when he passes the ball is he dangerous, but when he runs it as well. We've got to run for a short commercial break. This is the CFL Live on CSN. We'll return with more in just a moment. And just a reminder, tomorrow night we'll take you to BC. It's the Rough Riders, it's the Lions, playoff implications. We're on the air at 10 o'clock Eastern Time with our pregame show. For their thoughts in the first half, let's head out to Winnipeg. Here's John and Glenn.
Darren, unquestionably, Danny McManus's finest hour is a #1 quarterback for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Yeah, I think the key for Danny McManus is the #1 thing. He didn't throw any interceptions.
All right. He engineered a couple of touchdown drives and 1 field goal, and the stats really do belong to the Edmonton Eskimos at halftime here. Now, the Bombers are a little bit steamed as you look at the Subway stats there. Over 1 play that set up the Eskimos' final touchdown.
Well, penalties were a big story for Cal Murphy, and Cal Murphy thought that the referees missed a call. It was the play to Darren Flutie.
You know what the should have forward pass is? You know what forward pass is?
I guess it goes without saying that Murph's a little steamed.
And here's the play. You see Danny McManus going to throw the hitch screen to the left. Now Flutie drops the football. Right there, picks it up on the 1 hop. Now, the ruling was it was a lateral drop ball, which means it's a fumble, which means you can pick it up and advance it. Cal Murphy thinks it was a forward pass and therefore incomplete.
Anyway, Flutie picked up big yards, and the Eskimos went in for another touchdown and lead it at halftime 17-3.
Kent Austin had a decent opening quarter and took the Bombers for an early field goal and a 3-0 lead. But then Danny McManus responded for the Eskimos with a touchdown, a field goal, and another touchdown for Edmonton's 17-3 lead at the half. Numbers on the quarterbacks, fairly impressive both ways. When you look at total yards for McManus, that can't be right. 4 of 18, can it?
No, I think he's completed a few more than that, but 203 yards, and again, good stats for Kent Austin. Kent Austin just not putting the points on the board. Penalties, the main reason. There's actually 6 receptions for Danny McManus, or 6 completions for Danny McManus.
No, that's 6 touchdowns for Willie Pless.
Oh, my.
Our pal
David
Moyer here.
Throwing numbers at us.
We want to get the number of passes for McManus straightened out that he did complete as well. Good return for Eric Gulliford. Still standing, crossing the 40. He's dropped at the 45. Glenn Rogers Jr. in on the tackle.
Well, it's only the first drive of the second half. But this is a big one for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Down 17-3, need to get some of the momentum back, need to move the ball into scoring position and at least come out with 3 points. Try and get the tide turned on their side.
First down, Winnipeg. Bombers trailing 17-3. Austin back in a hurry, on target, far side. Lytle makes the catch and grabs the first down. Tough guy to bring down. Dragged a couple of Eskimos, including Cavis Reed. Bombers a little fired up coming out of the dressing room.
It's good hands for a big man. He cut that ball and took off down the sideline. He's got the longest run from scrimmage for a Winnipeg Blue Bomber this season with 26 yards. That's why Cal's so happy to have Blaze Bryant in there. He'd like to see his tailback have that stat, not his fullback.
17 yards for Winnipeg. Austin releases in a hurry and finds Bryant down to the 35. Singor Mobley with 4 sacks this season, having a great year. He had 20 tackles against the Calgary Stampeders in 2 games. Labor Day in Calgary, 8 and 12, and the Eskimos win in Edmonton. So Mobley's having a great year. 20 tackles in 2 games. That's a big, big number.
Yeah, 12 in the rematch. That's an Edmonton Eskimo record.
Austin is hot. Shannon Baker, not quite a first down, however.
Just to go back to that point, Singor Mobley, you think about the fact that he's playing beside Larry Ruck and Willie Pless, 1 and 2 all-time in tackles. Mobley has now the Edmonton record for tackles in a single game when he did it 2 weeks ago versus Calgary in the rematch.
Yeah, that number was 12. Second down. 6 to go for the Bombers. Austin sends Boyko to the near side. Allen to Gaffin Reed. Far side out of the picture. Top of the screen now. begin this quarter. Shannon Baker again.
Well, I'll tell you what Ken Austin does. He decides what Edmonton is playing defensively by the formation he puts in front of him. You don't see Blaze Bryant in that picture. He's a wide receiver to the right side of the formation because Edmonton doesn't cover down on Blaze Bryant with a linebacker. He knows that Edmonton's in zone and can hit the hot pass to Shannon Baker. And here comes Blaze Bryant back out in that same formation.
That's the 24-yard line where the ball is spotted. Ran from behind. Ruck is in on the tackle, but so is Willie Pless, I do believe. Number 39. Gain is 4 for Dean Lytle.
Yeah, that stat that Dave Boyer was sending us was for touchdowns for Willie Pless. 6, and he's got one tonight. The first half for the Edmonton Eskimos. 3-time outstanding defensive player, can also carry the football.
From the Eskimo 20, it's 2nd and 6. Opportunity for the interception for Willie Pless. He has one so far this season.
Yeah, and Willie Pless has good hands. I mean, here's a guy that in his career has 32 interceptions. He has one this season. There's one that got away from him, but there's no defensive back other than Reggie Pleasant in the game tonight that has that many interceptions in his career.
Troy Westwood, a perfect night from 28 on his first attempts. This almost the same spot. And he's 2 for 2 as the Bombers narrow the Eskimo lead.
That's pretty impressive for a guy who just a couple of days ago could barely walk. He was so sick.
17 to 6. A slight error in our magic number machine at halftime on Danny McManus's numbers. This is correct here, 14 of 18. We knew he had a good half. 77%, 203 yards. And he ran for a touchdown, too.
Yeah, he really is playing well. He was playing well against Calgary 2 weeks ago before he got hurt. Back on it again tonight.
Nice drive by Ken Austin to get a little bit closer. It's stalled near the 25.
Well, I know, but the key, John, is that Winnipeg came away with points there. They got the 3 from Troy Westwood, and it puts a little bit of momentum back on their side. Now they'll look to the defense and come up with a big play, and Edmonton, of course, wants to respond to those points.
McManus at the 35 on first down. Nice defensive play. Damian Lyons. I thought it was a nice defensive play.
I think it was. I agree with you. Well, I mean, Damian Lyons cannot believe that he's going to get called for pass interference. I think he has a great argument. Don Blair runs a curl pattern and stands there. He doesn't come back to the football. Damian Lyons stepped around him clearly and knocked the football down clean. What the hell you got? And you know, after that problem Cal Murphy had with the Darren Flutie catch, that he's going to be livid down there when an official gets close enough to him. He can't believe it.
Let's hear what they're saying.
No infraction on the play.
Okay.
There you go. As I said, nice defensive play.
Absolutely. And here comes the play. I mean, it's a curl pattern by Don Blair. Now, he's going to learn when he's around. He's got to come back to the football. Damian Lyons comes around. His arm was back there, but from the angle you see there, it's hard to see whether he was grabbing. I can tell you from where we were at, he did not grab Don Blair. It was a good defensive play.
So it flips to 2nd and 10 Edmonton. McManus couldn't find anyone home. He had Snipes nipping at his ankles.
Well, you know, the great pass rushers. Angelo Snipes, one of the pure pass rushers in the league. You're going to get a great look at him coming, doing everything in his power to get to the quarterback, working on Thomas Ram, goes inside, bounce back. Now he's crawling. Now he's biting at the ankle.
He bit him.
Now he's pulling on the knee. Now he's throwing him around, and he's trying to get him on the ground any way he can.
Angelo's gotten a few quarterbacks this year. He's had 11 sacks. Nice return, good field position for the Bombers with an 18-yard return.
Another fight going on back. 40-yard line.
No little orange markers down now.
I think it was Wade Miller and Willie Pless that were doing the fisticuffs over there. Miller giving a little bit of the business. A couple right hooks to the jaw.
Bombers trailing 17-6 will be in on Edmonton's side of the field with a first down. Eskimos have not scored a bunch of points in the second half in the last 6 games. No more than 10 points in 6 games, second half for Edmonton.
Yeah, they've had some leads slip away, so they know it's not safe now.
Austin got some heat. Blaze Bryant was the intended receiver, and Austin took a big hit. Benny Goods?
Yeah, Leroy,
I do believe.
I think Leroy Blue was in there as well, and Benny Goods got some pressure on the quarterback. You know, when you're rushing the quarterback on the screenplay, you're usually allowed to go free. But what has to happen is the offensive line has to get a piece of you. I mean, that's too quick. Benny Goods gets in there untouched, and he's got great speed. He has 10 sacks coming into the game. You got to get a piece of him, just allow the play to set up.
Another excellent year for Goods. Austin bobbled it, got it away. Baker went out and made the catch. Rangers made the tackle. Marker in the backfield.
Well, now, if I was a bet man, I might go with Singor Mobley here on the late hit on Ken Austin. He threw that out, and
Major foul, roughing the passer, Edmonton 27.
You got it.
I'm up at the crowd table.
We're going to the casino right after the game.
Well, Mobley comes off the corner. Ken Austin bobbles the shotgun snap. He throws the out in plenty of time, and then it was about 3 steps, and Mobley puts the helmet right in between the shoulder blades of Ken Austin. That's why he gets the penalty. Sometimes it's not just how late after the throw that the player hits you. It's with the intent that he hits you. If he's going in there trying to hurt you and it's a little bit late, they'll give the quarterback the call every time.
So the drive continues for Austin and the Bombers. We're 5 minutes into the third quarter. Blaze Bryant escapes a couple. Bulldog down by Willie Pless from behind. And a little Benny Goods action up front.
That was a pretty nice little play by Ken Austin. Good selling job. Blaze Bryant gets the ball coming back the other way, and Ken Austin at the trail of the play kind of does a nice acting job. There's a little flip to Blaze Bryant. Ken Austin continued to run outside. Most of the Edmonton front four kept chasing Austin, and that made it a one-on-one situation for Pless and Blaze Bryant. There's the #1 tackler in Canadian Football League history doing his thing.
Bryant grabbed 5. Well, maybe 6. Lytle couldn't hang on. Dean Lytle had an opportunity. And now Fleming, or rather Westwood, comes in for Winnipeg. Let's bring in Greg Musselman.
Okay, thanks, John. With injured Bomber receiver Gerald Wilcox, there's times they're moving the ball, but they're just not getting it in.
You're right. We're moving the ball all the way down the field, just like that last series right there. We're just having trouble in the red zone and running the offense and making plays, basically.
What do you think you can do to get maybe things going here?
Well, I think we need to sprint the corner a little bit with Kent and try to get the ball into Eric Gullifer's and Shannon Baker's hand, the guys that can do something with it after they make the catch.
Okay, thanks, Gerald.
Thank you.
Back to John.
He's 3 for 3. Troy Westwood cuts into that Eskimo lead by 3 more points. It's 17-9.
It's interesting. Troy Westwood all week, there was a question mark as whether or not he'd play because he's been very sick. He could barely walk a couple of days ago, and Cal Murphy waited till about 2 hours before game time before making the decision on Troy Westwood or Darcy Dolan, who he brought in to replace Westwood if he couldn't make it, but said some tests came back negative, so Westwood was okay to get out there. He won't do any kickoffs, but he'll take care of all the field goals.
First down, Edmonton. Tough to run against the Bombers. Tony Burr spot out again. Off to BC tomorrow night. Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Lions.
Ooh, big.
Gord Miller, Leif Pedersen will be there for that one at BC Place. Hope a few fans show up too.
Yeah, I think Corey Field. I think it's going to be a good crowd. I mean, there was 8,000 no-shows in the last game that saw the BC Lions beat Toronto.
And he actually sold 24,000 for the game, but
that's right.
Against a fairly important hockey game.
Yeah, they didn't show up.
And the Lions had more success than Team Canada Saturday night. Big win over the Argos.
Yeah, it was a huge win. The Lions look great, and that should be a good matchup as they're fighting with Saskatchewan to try and grab a playoff spot in the West.
Yeah, a couple of upsets last week. The Als over the Stamps, BC over Toronto. I think you'd call Hamilton over Edmonton an upset as well, and this might be a toss-up. Ottawa over Saskatchewan by 2.
Ottawa came back with 2 touchdowns, little time on the clock in that one.
A little too high for Darren Flutie. And a flag is down at the 50-yard line.
Well, this is completely a judgment call by the official. I mean, Darius Watson is the one covering Darren Flutie on the play.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg 26.
Penalties are killing the Bombers.
You be the judge. Darius Watson is the guy covering Flutie. The ball's incomplete. Now Watson wraps him up, and then this is where he gets the penalty. Mistreating the receiver penalty. It's a judgment call by the official, and I think it was a good judgment.
Spun him around like a bullet in the revolver.
Well, it's one of those deals. He didn't really have to do that. The ball was incomplete, and
Flutie has it. After all that, he has maybe 3 yards.
Well, this is a big play right here because Winnipeg's going to want to try to keep Edmonton out of field goal range. Right now it would be, what would it be? Let me add them up here. 53-yarder?
Well, you used to spot them. You should be able to count 7 back.
Well, I just went where Dave Ridgway put the tee down. I never had to count.
Oh, you just ran out wherever the tee was.
Wherever the tee was, I kneeled down.
Marker's down for McManus on second, and Avanci's on target. Flutie again, down to the 21. But this might come back. We'll check it out.
Well, the flag is right in that area where it could be the holding.
Offside, Winnipeg 72 is declined.
Or an offside.
There you go, Colin Scribner.
You prick!
Uh-oh, it's getting nasty down there.
Well, Cal's seen the penalties come against him, so, I mean, it's completely lopsided in this football game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He just wanted to make the official aware of that fact.
I think he was heard. I think everyone heard him.
Yeah, across the country.
On first down, McManus. He has Mark Toberts inside the 10. Another 11.
Mark Tobert's been having a great season this year. I mean, last year, all season, he only had 7 catches, 53 yards. He already had 314 coming into this game and was a key receiver in that big comeback Edmonton had in the Labor Day rematch against Calgary. Caught a couple big passes over the middle, got hit when he did it from Cody Ledbetter, and was a big part of the reason Edmonton won that game in the last play. He's having a super year, and he's going to play a lot with this 5-receiver set for the rest of this football game.
This is tough for the Edmonton Eskimos right now. Rod Conop, who missed a couple of games after going 190 consecutive starts in Edmonton, is injured again at the 35-yard line. Looks like he'll take a while to recover from this. In behind there at the Blue Bomber bench is center Rod Conop, who made it to the sidelines under his own steam after being shaken up on this play.
Here's Rod Conop right here, the 6-time All-Canadian center who's just missed the game because of the sore knee. He's going to be to the top left of your screen by the end of this football play, and you're going to see how right in there is when he gets the knee rolled on, and Edmonton and Ron Lancaster hoping he can return.
So Groenewegen moves to center. Schulneis moves into Groenwegen's spot. This is Tony Burse. Again, it's Katie Williams.
Well, Greg Clark and had Burst dead to rights in the backfield, and Burst broke that tackle, but his buddy, K.D. Williams, cleans him up and gets him down to limit the game.
1 yard, second, and goal to go at the 9 now. McManus ran for one himself. First half from 6 yards out on a broken play. He doesn't have a touchdown pass so far tonight, and he still doesn't.
I mean, he did the smart thing, John. I mean, he wants to come away on this drive with some points. Been a nice drive for Edmonton. McManus has played well all game. Rolls out, can't find a receiver at all, and just decides to
just unloaded it, didn't he?
Throw it out of bounds. Get Sean Fleming on the field, and let's get the 3 points.
Fleming's second crack at it. This will be from about 16. A little high, no problem. So the Eskimos answer one of those Blue Bombers' second half field goals. It's now 20-9 Edmonton. Here's a song you don't hear enough of these days. Here's Harper.
Glenn Harper's a holder for Sean Fleming, and then take a look at this right here. Look at that. He's missing a finger right here, and I'm going to tell you why. Here comes the snap. He gets it down. He's got his hand right in front of the ball right here. Fleming, bam, kicks his hand. Hey, if you're going to hold the ball like that, you might lose some fingers. Of course, Glenn Harper does have all his fingers. Just kidding, but
just missed. It was Austin to Gulliford. Now they had a wedding here earlier. Here are the bridesmaids.
Well, I tell you what, if a guy married one of those, it was one of those marriages in Vegas where you wake up and put the ring on your finger.
I'm serious. There was a wedding out here at the 55-yard line, well before game time. They wanted Lancaster to be best man. Austin, Gulliford, nice catch, and a big bomber first down out at the 50.
But what a game that Gulliford is having. I mean, this is a big catch because he knows he's got Derek Beatty covered him, but he knows that Glenn Rogers Jr. is going to hit him right at the end of the play. I mean, here comes the catch. Here comes Glenn Rogers. Beatty throws him to the ground, but it's good concentration by Gulliford. He's made a couple tonight. He got hit early in the game by Trent Brown coming across the middle and hung
held on to that one, too.
Yeah.
8 catches, 97 yards for this guy. Austin is yanked down from behind. That's Leroy Blue, number 89.
I mean, I don't know. Chris Welby's an all-star at the right tackle, and Bob Pendolitis also a great offensive player. And how do you block these guys? You block Benny Goods on one play, and then they can send Leroy Blue. I think the only way you have a chance to block him is like you have a gun and you pull out the revolver and shoot him. I mean, that's pretty much the only way you can do it.
7th sack for Leroy Blue. Austin, near side, Boyko headed one hop to him.
Ken Austin's had success all game, and 1 or 2 plays, usually due to either penalties offensively or a good pass rush by Edmonton that's just stalling these drives before they can get any points on the board.
19 of 30, 213 yards for Austin so far. Here's Cameron. Still hanging in the matchup of the night. Against the Giz, Henry Williams, who's never taken one back against Cameron. Cameron's kicked a few away from him tonight. Here's Don Blair. And Blair's never taken one back against Cameron either. Till now. Nice stepping into the end zone, Don Blair. So he kicked away from the Giz. And Blair takes it 85 yards for the touchdown.
Had 4 touchdowns in the Vanier Cup. for Calgary. That's a CIAU record in 1995, over 1,000 yards in just 8 games. Had a shot in Chicago, didn't hang on there. Edmonton happy to have him. He's got tremendous speed, and you can see how he uses it on the play and just outruns the Winnipeg punt coverage.
I think he only got 1 block.
And that was
85 yards.
And that was from Gizmo Williams, I think, and it was a legal one. And you know that Gizmo will go over to the sideline, say, okay, then that's how you do it. Great run open, you've got to stay in front of him. Great run by Don Blair.
It really was 85 yards for the touchdown. And the Eskimos are breaking out of that scoring problem they've had in the second half. That's 10 points in the third quarter. One more look at Don Blair's first CFL touchdown.
Well, it really was set up by some good blocks from Edmonton, but the speed right there of Blair as he accelerates is the key.
He looks quick, doesn't he? Even when we slow it down a little bit. Had quite a year, didn't he?
Yeah.
Won a Hank Crichton Trophy, a Vanier Cup, as you talked about. Went to the Shrine Bowl. They got a chance to play in Chicago.
He looked at the opportunity of possibly playing in Chicago's developmental squad, but he analyzed the situation and felt that he wanted to play in games, get some playing experience. Edmonton was the best opportunity to do that, and Ron Lancaster, very happy to have him.
Well, the Bomber troubles are a little deeper now, down 27-9. Forced down far side by Fleming.
CFL Live on TSN. Brought to you in part by Pepsi. Nothing else is a Pepsi. And by the Alliance of Canada's only full-service telecommunications companies. Proud sponsors of the Canadian Olympic team.
Marker down on the previous play, and it's being marched off against the Eskimos on the return, so it'll be first down. Winnipeg at the 46-yard line.
Well, the fans a moment ago were chanting Reggie Slack and booing a little bit that Ken Austin is back in there.
Slack warmed up a little bit, but Austin stays in and had his man open, Shannon Baker, and they didn't miss it by much.
Well, yeah, that's not Ken Austin's fault. He had the play called perfectly. He got the out and up by Shannon Baker down the sideline. Baker was open. He just sort of hesitated a bit when he got into the open to look back for the football, and when he did, lost his stride and couldn't catch up with the ball, but it was a perfectly thrown pass by Ken Austin.
Second and 10, 46-yard line. Bombers down by a bunch again, 27-9. Picked up, first interception of the game. Trent Brown.
I think it was Glenn Rogers, John, that rolled into the middle. He was playing the free safety position. They did a little bit of a roll coverage. Trent Brown came up. Glenn Rogers moved to the middle. See 26, he's going to roll into the middle down the hash mark. And yeah, Ken Austin doesn't see him there, overthrows the ball a little bit, and Glenn Rogers now leads the league in interceptions with 7.
All right. Glenn Rogers Jr., 7th IC of 1996. Good for the league lead for the moment anyway. So McManus gets his hands on the ball again. So does Tony Burst, who went nowhere, lost yardage. Wrapped up by Charlie Clemens. Number 48.
Are still chanting Reggie, Reggie, Reggie.
I see him now.
And Reggie's warming up a little bit. Cal Murphy would not hesitate. I asked him about how his concept and what he likes to do, his system, his quarterback system. He says, hey, whoever's hot plays.
And Austin started well. McManus has been very good all night. Missed that one there, and the Eskimos will get 0 for the turnover and the interception by Rogers, so it doesn't really hurt Winnipeg all that much, about maybe 25 yards in field position.
Yeah, depending on what happens on this punt return is how much field position that Winnipeg will lose. It'll be interesting to see what Cal Murphy does in the quarterback position to start the fourth quarter.
Crossing the 15, and the Bombers will have to start from inside the 20. That's the end of quarter number 3, with the Edmonton Eskimos on top of the hometown Blue Bombers, 27-9. And Reggie's coming in.
CFL Live at the Quarter, brought to you by Gillette's $250,000 Triple Play Challenge at a retailer near you.
Now, they generally say that defense wins championships. Not when it comes to the coach. He says special teams win championships. And Don Blair did it for the Edmonton Eskimos to break this football game open.
Yes, that was a big play, and it's ironic that he's the one that returned it for a touchdown, because he was the guy guilty last week against Hamilton, blocking below the waist and called back Gizmo's punt return. And in this particular touchdown, Gizmo made a good block for him.
Boy, it's amazing what a difference a quarterback can make. It's always been a quarterback's league. Last week, the Edmonton Eskimos struggled immensely against the Ticats, but now Danny McManus is doing the job.
You're right there, and Danny McManus is having the best game of his season, and you're not going to see Kent Austin coming back, I don't think, in the fourth quarter. I think Reggie Slack's going to take over. It's kind of interesting because Austin and McManus have this personal rivalry. They were both quarterbacks a couple of years ago with the Lions. There were guys who really liked McManus because he's one of the boys, isn't he? Unless you were on that team in '94.
Well, you know, there's different comparisons to both quarterbacks, and I noticed that Danny Mac, what people liked about Danny McManus is that he threw the ball down the field. He didn't give receivers chance DBs a chance to squat on him and kill the receivers. I remember when we played against BC, guys would come up to me, and receivers would come up to me and ask me, hey, who's playing this week? Because they knew that me and Dave Ritchie had a good rapport as well as a coaching rapport. And I would tell them, you know, Ken Austin's going to start, and they'd be like, oh man, we're going to get killed because he usually throws those stop routes. People squat on him, and they come up and kill him. Danny McManus throws the ball down the field, deep. And he throws a good wide-out ball as well.
Around the CFL, I thought the knock on McManus was always that he was better coming off the bench, that he couldn't start. Had you not heard that, Bob?
I think that's true. I think the key thing with Danny tonight is he's not throwing any interceptions. That's the key thing.
Yeah, he's played a very smart football game so far. The Edmonton Eskimos won't be squatting on any of Austin's passes. He's out of the football game. Reggie Slack is in. Let's return to Winnipeg Stadium.
All right, guys, and here's Reggie's first play. From the shotgun, 1st and 10, Winnipeg Bombers beginning at the 20.
Oh, man.
And Slack is run down by Mobley. Another sack for Senior Mobley. Well, Senior Mobley.
Well, I wasn't in the huddle there and don't know what the play call was, but it looked to me like it was a screen. Here's Senior Mobley right here. He's going to come off the edge. Looked like they were trying to run the screen. Just kind of let the guys go by, set up the screen and dump it off. But it's happened already in this game. You got to get a piece of them. If you let them come clean, the quarterback doesn't have time to set up and dump it off.
A loss of a bunch. This is 2nd and 24 back at the 6 now. From the end zone, just missed. Baker was the target. And Reggie's 0 for 2 plays.
Well, he didn't have a chance on the first one. That one he had to thread the needle trying to get in there to Shannon Baker. There's his numbers. He comes off the bench in the last 3 games. See the big one right there, 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception, and that's what Cal Murphy likes to see. Sure, it's the TD to interception ratio is favors the TD side.
Well, now the Bombers have given up big-time field position. Blair ran the last one back for an 85-yard touchdown.
Wow.
Cameron unloaded this one from the end zone out to the 55. Here's the gives. Wrapped up. Stopped in his tracks. That's a big-time kick. 50 yards.
Unreal.
And that gets a little of the field back in your favor.
But he does. I don't know a kicker that does it better than Bob Cameron back in his end zone, usually against a hurricane wind here in Winnipeg, and he always seems to do it. Second in the CFL so far with his punting average of 44 yards, and he just cranked that one.
I think he's still a little angry about the one that Blair took 85 yards against him.
Well, he's all psyched up for the Gizmo matchup. Forgot to think about Blair.
He's winning that. Little flip to Flutie on a reverse of sorts. Run down. By Forey Duckett, number 25. Numbers through 3 quarters in Winnipeg tonight. Fairly close in net yards when you compare it to the scoreboard, as is in time of possession, with the Bombers holding an advantage there. A couple of differences. McManus won the duel with Kent Austin through 3 quarters, and Blair wins a special team award.
Yeah.
The punt return TD. Loss of 3, 2nd and 13. McManus looking for Flutie, and McManus got nailed.
So big John Kropke in there, and K.D. Williams always in the center of action when the quarterback's on the ground. Usually see 44 standing right around the pile, and here's a look at the pressure Danny McManus had to see. Charlie Clements coming, Darius Watson from the halfback, and Williams hits him right about the midsection as he throws the ball.
Harper across his 40s, got a bit of a charge, got it away without a problem. And there's no return for Baker, number 83. 40-yard punts. Fans in Winnipeg hoping the Bombers can come back. It's a long way now. Little cricket on the network tomorrow. Pakistan versus India, 12:30 Eastern time. Silly mid-offs and sticky wickets and all that.
I'm keeping my silly mitts on, thank you very much. It's kind of cold here in Winnipeg.
Were you the only safety to ever play with mitts?
No, I learned it from Ken McEachran. Let me see if I can pass the buck, think of somebody.
Reggie Slack at the controls trying to bring the Bombers back from the 17. Another great one. Eric Gilliford has had a terrific night. He's well over 100 yards now, and he's made some terrific catches.
Well, coming in,
Brown get to him again.
Yeah, coming into the game, he's averaged almost 18 yards a catch, and I can tell you that after this game, that average is going up, and it was tough catches. Trent Brown putting the shoulder into him as he hangs on to that one again. Tremendous concentration by Gulliver.
23 yards to gain, and the Bombers are out at the 40. Slack just got it away. Well, maybe he really didn't get much on it because he was nailed. Who was there?
Errol Martin. And
Martin was there, number 38.
He came over the top, but Reggie Slack got kind of the high-low hit. He got one around the midsection, and I think it was Errol Martin that came up high and hit him, and that ball went straight to the turf. And you want to play quarterback in the CFL? That's what you got to deal with. He'll have some ice packs on. He's only played a quarter.
A couple of sacks for him, yes. Well, not a sack there. He got the ball away. 1 sack tonight. 4 sacks coming into the game. Or 3 sacks coming in. And Slack misses there.
Well, we talked up Eric Gulliver a bunch, and he's having a great game, and that one slipped through his fingers there. I mean, that would have kept the drive going. It was definitely in first down range. Ran a little curl pattern, slipped through his fingers, and Winnipeg will have to punt it away again.
Cameron booted a 50-yarder the last time. He got his mitts on the ball. The Giz waits. High and deep again. Henry Williams inside his 30. Bomber special teams have covered him extremely well tonight. Clemens was there, number 48.
Yeah, Cameron's done a good job punting, and the exception of one play, the big return by Don Blair, Winnipeg special teams have covered well, but Danny McManus is having a super game. He had that great half in Calgary, and because of the injury in the first quarter to Eric Blunt, has been running an offense that he really hasn't had much practice at. It's the 5-receiver set. Now they do practice it, but not as much as their 2-back set, and very effective with it tonight.
McManus good on 18 of 28, 251 yards. And that's his 19th completion. And about the 4th for Eddie Brown.
I was going to say, it's been kind of a quiet night for Eddie Brown. Usually taking off down the sideline. We talked about the matchup that he would be up against, Shannon Garrett and Damian Lyons on the other corner. And both corners done a pretty good job covering Eddie Brown, #1 receiver in the CFL.
At least in yards receiving, with 904 coming into the game. Gain of 5, 2nd and 5. Brown comes to the near side. Couple of receivers in motion. Far side of the field, and that's where McManus looks and stumbles and falls and is pinned by Angelo Snipes.
Angelo Snipes, that sack's going to move him ahead of Melvin Hunter.
Yeah, that was a freebie.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but this is where the defensive line's eyes get huge. He's working on Raham right there. Comes inside, sees McManus fall, and then it's a race. Colin Scribner and Angelo Snipes, and I believe Snipes got the tag first. They all count.
Harper on 3rd down, Edmonton at his 21. Takes it on the run and gets the Bombers back in a decent field position. Stepping out near the 50 with Reggie Pleasance. Austin started, went 3 quarters. Slack is in for the Bombers. 27-9, Edmonton leading. Angelo Snipes has 12 sacks. Some are easier than others.
Well, you know, you talk about this, Thomas Raham to the left of your screen working on Snipes, excuse me. Now, McManus goes down, he just tags him. When you said Angelo Snipes, well, that was a pretty easy one to say, hey, nothing is easy when you have to bang head with Thomas Raham every time, yeah.
Slack on 1st down, Winnipeg. Markers are down, and that doesn't look good for the Bombers. 9:30 to go in the final quarter. Eskimo defense has been very solid tonight. No touchdowns allowed, 3 field goals.
Holding. Winnipeg 63.
They got Chris playing in his 247th CFL game tonight. Chris Walby.
9-time All-Canadian. He's working on Melvin Hunter right there. Yeah, I would call that holding. I mean, not to his face, I wouldn't call it holding. But, I mean...
I will edit that from the tape in case he watches the replay tonight. Slack on 2nd down and a bunch. He escapes, needs a block. And he comes up a little bit shy. He got back to the original line of scrimmage +1. 1st and 20.
Well, Chris Welby just got the holding call. Now he goes back. He's going to work on Derek McCready coming from the outside. And this time he gave him the old cut block, fake that he was going to block him high, went down low. Can't get a holding if you don't use your hands. Welby used his head that time and took McCready's feet out.
Senior among the seniors is Bob Cameron at 287 games played. And he's closing in on Lancaster's mark. A couple of games shy of the all-time record.
They play a little different positions, though. Punting and tackle.
The flag does come down. The ball was actually grabbed by an Eskimo defender.
Yeah, now, Willie Pless comes up with the interception on the deflection, but it's going to be pass interference. Edmonton, the contact came just before the ball arrived.
Non-deliberate forward pass interference. Edmonton number 10.
Malcolm Frank was breaking on that football.
Bombers needed that.
Got some contact just before the ball arrived. That ball popped up in the air. Here comes the play. It's a quick slant pattern coming to the inside. There's the contact right there. Alan DeGraffenried gets a lucky break. Willie Plus picks it off.
DeGraffenried to the near side. On first down, Winnipeg inside the Eskimo 50. Slack has Boyko sliding in. He's about halfway to a first down.
His key penalty keeps this drive alive, and any hopes that Cal Murphy has to try and make a comeback in this game. Remember, Winnipeg came back and beat Edmonton late in the fourth quarter when these two teams met before on a KD Williams interception, so they really believe they can come back right now.
Slack looking at 2nd and 4. Standing in, sideline pattern to Boyko.
Yeah, he's going to be half a yard short, I believe.
He came back to the ball, but there's no question about the option here for Mr. Murphy, is there?
No shot. He's going. No decision to be made here.
Key game as the Bombers try and move into a tie with the Eskimos for 2nd spot in the West. And having won the first meeting of the year, if they did remain tied, and the Bombers won this game, it would give them the advantage over Edmonton.
Of course, Edmonton still feels like they can catch Calgary in first place.
Right now, the Eskimos have the driver's seat at 27-9. And there's Slack with the first down and a few more.
I don't think they'll bring the sticks out and measure this.
Nope. Slowly on the tackle, number 27, after Slack grabbed about 4.
Yeah, I guess he got 4. I don't think the sticks will have to come out. Reggie Slack, big guy, 215 pounds, and he's tough to bring down at any time. And I remember playing against him when he was in Toronto. Came on a safety blitz, hit him right in the thighs, and just kind of fell to the ground, looked up and watched him throw a touchdown.
Here's Slack. He's on. Slack's down. Alvin Hunter.
He saw Angelo Snipes get a free one.
So now they're tied again.
For the league lead. They both have a dozen on the season. Melvin Hunter, of course, on pace for 18-sack season. Comes off the corner on Walby. Good speed to the outside. Walby can't get out there. Pushes him actually towards the quarterback. And, you know, I talked about when I fell off of Slack's thighs. Well, I'm a little lighter than Melvin Hunter. He'll bring it down.
He goes for the home run toss. No one home.
Shannon Baker was going down the sideline on the wheel route, and as soon as Slack broke the pocket, Baker stopped up his pattern, tried to come back to the quarterback thinking it was a scramble situation. Slack thought he would continue on his regular pattern that was called in the huddle and threw it down the field. Just a miscommunication between receiver and quarterback.
6:27 to go. Time running out on the Bombers. Here's Troy Westwood. On a perfect night, longest of the year from 50. This will be spotted by Cameron at the 49. Lots of them. And he's got it. What a gutsy performance by this guy. He has not been well all week, if you didn't hear the story earlier. But he responded and dressed for this one tonight, despite a virus. And he's perfect tonight. These guys know how to get to the quarterback. Melvin Hunter has 12 now.
His best season ever. The Edmonton Eskimos, great speed to the outside, runs down Slack. You know, that's the 4th sack of the game. As you see that fight going on, the fourth sack of the game for the Edmonton Eskimos. That's what they're averaging coming into the game, and if they keep it up, they'll beat the record.
Eskimos have sacked the quarterback 56 times so far in 96. But it's tough to run for this Edmonton offense against the Winnipeg defense. Tony Burse has another yard and a half. 12 carries for 28 yards. That explains how tough it is.
Well, Troy Westwood.
He's sitting on the end of the bench all by himself down there.
Nope. Everyone wants to see the test results.
Yeah, before they're sitting next to him. Look, About 3 spaces between he and the next Blue Bomber down there.
You know they're all congratulating him from a distance on his effort tonight.
Way to go. Way to go. Nice going, Troy. Talk to you later. He just nailed a 49-yarder for his 4th field goal of the night. He has accounted for all the Bombers scoring. And I don't think he's quite 100% yet.
The worst part about it is kind of a cold, wet night here in Winnipeg, and coming off that virus that he barely was walking a couple of days ago. That's cold and wet out there, and he's trying to stay loose and keep warm.
A little message to Mom that he's really all right. He's all right. Fine, yeah. Harper, a boomer. Markers are down. Could be contacting the kicker.
Yep, definitely will be.
A 53-yard punt.
KD Williams.
KD was a little too aggressive.
Blocked the punt against...
Contacting the kicker. Winnipeg 44.
KD Williams blocked the punt late in the game against the BC Lions here in Winnipeg early in the season. A play that resulted in Winnipeg's win. This time he misses the ball, and no question, he almost takes the right leg of Glenn Harper off as he goes by. That's the penalty. Edmonton gets the football back. Cal Murphy really won't have a problem. I mean, he's obviously disappointed with the penalty, but he doesn't have a problem with a guy who's always giving you 100% effort, and sometimes it works out that way. Just don't get your hand on the football.
Let's go!
Sandusky near side as the Eskimos hurry up over the ball. 112 yards for the Bombers in penalties. And Eddie Brown couldn't get anywhere after taking almost a lateral pass there. I think that one went...
Interesting little play by the Edmonton Eskimos there. They put Leo Groenwagen and Ed Kusi way out wide, like they're almost in the slot back position. There's only 3-4 down linemen in there. Outside there you see Ed Kusi and Groenwagen. They were lined up right in front of Eddie Brown. A little bit of a different formation for Edmonton.
It worked earlier for the Eskimos. For a big gain to Darren Flutie. Not this time. And Burns can't escape on 2nd and 17.
Angelo Snipes made a big play because he took a big gamble. Came down underneath, gave up his containment responsibilities when he read the play, and Angelo Snipes, number 91, he comes down right there. Now, if Danny McManus was to fake that handoff and take it outside, Snipes was beat. He's got contained. Took a gamble, read the play, got back in the backfield.
It is pouring in Winnipeg now. Over 28,000. We're here at the beginning. I think a couple have headed to the exits to try and get a little dry. To do it again from the 25 this time. Not as big a charge. Almost as big a kick, though. Gulliford on the return.
Big hit.
And another big hit. 50-yard punt, 8 yards on the return. And there's a little football indoors tomorrow night at the stadium at BC Place. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, the BC Lions. Lee Pedersen, Gord Miller will be there for that one at 7 Pacific time.
So will Don Narcisse.
Yes. Whoa! It might be time to scurry. How are we going to get out of here? Did you bring a car?
I didn't even bring an umbrella.
Into the final 3 minutes now. Reggie Slack has 32 passing yards since relieving Austin. He has more there. Nice strike to Allen to Gappenreid. And that'll bring up the 3-minute warning after a 19-yard gain. Bombers have a long way to battle back against Edmonton. And our game story tonight brought to you by Bell Advantage. 17-point second quarter for Edmonton. McManus has a hot hand. Blair has a big return. On the other side, Westwood, a perfect night, and Austin had a decent start, but gave way to Reggie Slack.
Yeah, and the key, Danny McManus, 0 interceptions. Been a problem all season for him, but not tonight.
You had to bring it up, huh? Here's Slack. In the grasp again. 5 sacks for the Eskimos tonight. 57 on the season. They lead the league in that category by a bunch, and that's Leroy Blues 8.
It doesn't matter if they got a huge lead or if it's a tie game or what time of the game it's in. Those 4 keep coming at you. Leroy Blues' turn this time, and he throws Slack to the ground. I talked to Leroy Blue and Benny Goods about it. They said, we hang out together. We're good friends.
Tips and an opportunity for Derek Beatty. 2:41 to go now. Beatty had a chance for his 3rd interception of the year.
you know what he's doing there? Defensive back, we did the same thing in Saskatchewan. Defensive backs have this little rule. If you drop an interception in practice,
easy one, right?
Yeah, well, any interception in practice that you get your hands on, you drop one, you do 10 push-ups, right? Right there, right then and there, that's your punishment. Do the push-ups. Well, Beatty's taking it one step further and doing it in games.
Well, these folks are certainly dedicated. Nice to see a great crowd here tonight. Henry Williams.
Watch out.
He hasn't run one back against Bob Cameron in his career until this month, folks. 2 touchdown returns by the Eskimo team. Is there a flag down?
No flag.
I didn't think so. And he didn't do the flip, but he finally got to Bob Cameron.
Gizmo, you know, he's not as young as he used to be.
79 yards for the Giz.
He still runs as well, but Bob Cameron goes, there goes my streak.
The streak is over.
I mean, Gizmo still got the great breakaway speed.
Look at the little pause here.
Boy, how many times have we seen this? I used to have nightmares about this when I played against him. Look at that back number and the name chased him into the end zone.
Untouched, and he didn't need a block.
Didn't need a block. No clips on the play. He looks around first. He's had a few called back, and then
19, I think.
Yeah. 24 punt return touchdowns for Williams. Unbelievable. There is no one better running back punts in the history of the game.
I think you're right.
Than that man right there.
He didn't get into the lineup till last week. He had injury problems in the early part of the season. Then Lancaster couldn't slide him onto the roster.
Well, he had the hamstring problem, and Shalom Baker was playing well at the wide receiver, and Henry Williams not known for playing wide receiver, and Ron Lancaster couldn't find a spot to put him on. Williams was talking a little bit about it in the newspapers and had some discussions with his head coach like he's doing now, and he says, okay, maybe I'll leave you on for a bit. He do things like that, and they're kind of laughing about it on the sideline, but I mean, he's been healthy for 5-6 weeks. First game last week, had a big game there, had one called back, and now busted.
What did he have last week, 280 all-purpose?
Well, you know, I looked at it. He had like 280 all-purpose. He averaged 30 yards a punt return, 35 yards a kickoff return. Not too shabby.
It's Gulliford's turn now. And needed at least 2 more blocks. He's out to the 41. And I think you can stick a fork in the Bombers here.
Yep, that's pretty much all she wrote.
34-12 as it stands. Couple of punt return touchdowns, one for 79 yards, one
good effort
earlier for 85 by Don Blair.
Yeah, and a good effort by that guy, 84, Eric Gulliford, who's played a real superb game in a losing effort for Winnipeg, taking some big hits, hung on to the football. They hurt those hits will hurt a lot more tomorrow when they lose.
Slack trying to find a little respectability here. Gulliford again, he went high, and there was an interception possibility there, I thought.
Well, you see
for a split second at least.
What I like about it is you see those. Look at the numbers that were over there. That was 46, Melvin Hunter, 40, Benny Goods, and 38, Errol Martin, who was in at the defensive end position on the play. Now, that was a screen to the receiver. Those guys are still flying around, either chasing quarterbacks, flying out there and making tackles on Gulliver.
2nd and 10 at the Bomber 41. More heat on Slack, but got it away this time to Boyko, close to a first down. You're doing a Calgary game in the near future?
I think I have one, yeah, in a couple weeks.
I was just going to ask you if you think the Eskimo defense is the best in the Canadian Football League.
Well, I think Edmonton and Calgary are very close in that respect.
You're a prize.
Hey, they both have great defenses. You talked to Lancaster about that. He mentioned that it was big plays, one or two big plays when they played each other head to head.
Absolutely.
The Labor Day matchups have made the difference. Both defenses played great in that series.
Now I can say this with some degree of certainty as Slack breaks through for a first down and a whole bunch to spare. The Edmonton Eskimo defense over the past 2 weeks has been superior to the Calgary Stampeders.
Well, I will say this, and it's not hard to see. I mean, the numbers back it up. They have the best front four in the league in 1996. I mean, these are guys that are head over heels above anyone else in sacks. They keep coming. I mean, that's the best front four there is in the Canadian Football League.
Slack on first down. Looks deep. It's Boyko, the intended receiver, and grabbed for no interception. Malcolm Frank was out of bounds.
Well, you know, you always talk about the great linebackers. I mean, Willie Pless, Larry Ruck, and Singor Mobley in the year they're having. It makes a huge difference for those three guys and the secondary of that Edmonton defense when you can get pressure out of just 4 people. You don't have to blitz Singor Mobley or the linebackers to get pressure on the quarterback. You can play zones, and Melvin Hunter and the boys will bring it, even if they only have 4 against 5.
At the 43, 2nd and 10. No time left for the Bombers to win this thing. Alan DeGaffenraid had his hands on the football briefly, but it was a tough catch to make, particularly in the rain.
Well, Edmonton sent one linebacker, and Reggie Slack, it was Willie Pless. Reggie Slack saw him come and got hit right in the shoulder pads when he threw that ball from Willie Pless.
Are you doing an Argonaut game in the near future? I was going to ask who you think might win the big one tomorrow at Skydome. Toronto or Calgary?
Whoa, that's a great matchup too. Gee, I know Toronto, they're both coming off losses and big upsets, so well, that's going to be a battle.
One more sack for the Eskimo group. That's 6 tonight. That's 57 on the season, 58 on the season.
Yeah, now who do you give credit for the sack? I mean, there's Pless, Melvin Hunter, Benny Goods is in there. It's like, okay, here we go, guys. Not much time left. Let's have a team meeting back in the backfield.
You got to share that about 4 ways.
Who gets the sack there?
Well, Pless seemed to be there. Our Corral Word perfect players of the game. Radically Canadian they are. On defense, Melvin Hunter, number 46.
Been on the Winnipeg quarterbacks all game, is the current leader in sacks.
And Danny McManus had a great game, his best ever in a green and gold uniform. Here's Tony Burse, and he could be gone too. They gave him the touchdown. They gave it to him. He was down. But run down by Garrett, a 59-yard touchdown for Tony Burse. And the Eskimos pile on the points. Now Burse hadn't had a carry for much more than 4 yards all night long, had he?
Well, it's frustration from the Winnipeg defense. You know, they see this one in a real important game slip away. Cal Murphy watches this one go down the drain, so to speak, and then they get their heads down, and Tony Burse takes full advantage, busting through there and taking off to the end zone. to look good on the stats tomorrow. It wasn't a real big part of the game, but it was big for Tony Burst, who got
and
a lot
it sure
of...
helps the average because it wasn't very good tonight.
He got a lot of tough yards up in there, catching the ball in the backfield and running hard, and he deserved that one.
Now 41-12 with 1:26 to go. And the Eskimos have been solid both sides of the ball. Tony Burst goes 59 here.
Now that's what you see if you're a free safety. That's a fullback. That guy can run.
Did I miss it, or did you pick a winner tomorrow? Calgary, Toronto, Sky Dome.
There's his averages, 78 this year, and tonight he's well over that.
That's team rushing, I guess, and a 59-yard run for Burst there. Eskimos move within a game of the Stampeders, who will play Toronto tomorrow.
Are you going to make me pick one?
And the Bombers stay ahead of Saskatchewan and BC. Yeah, I thought you should maybe make a little selection. You are the analyst.
I'm going to go with Toronto. In Sky Dome.
Because of that.
The Flutie factor.
The Flutie factor. Eric Guilford tried one more time to break one on a long night for the Blue Bombers.
Yeah, you want me to pick one on this one too?
Well, you might as well. I know who you'll likely choose here.
No, well, you know,
this is a tough one for you. That's your home province against the home team.
And we did that game out in BC where the Lions beat Toronto, and if they play anywhere near the way they did that night, this will be the Lions' victory.
I think the Lions are a far better football team than their record indicates. They lost close ones, including the one you were talking about here, but 3 or 4 by a total of 11 points. I mean, that's...
And you know, that's tough for me to say. You know, that's Saskatchewan there I was talking about.
Gulliford deserves a rest. He's run hard, made big catches, taken big hits. And he would be the Bombers' star of the game, with little question. So you like Toronto and you like BC in the games tomorrow?
Yeah, those would be my picks.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go along with you on both counts.
Well, they're not done yet.
Let's wrap this one up.
These guys, when they want to play another quarter, Leroy Blues, he's looking at the clock, 1:17. He's hoping the seconds last a little longer. He might be able to pad those stats.
Can they round it off to an even 60 before this game is over? The Eskimos came into the game leading the league by a bunch with 52 sacks. Oh! You can see it coming. Trent Brown lays a big hit on Shannon Baker.
Man, Shannon Baker, he's up. Trent Brown hit Eric Gulliford in the first quarter and looked identical to that. And he came up there and crushed Shannon Baker, and let's listen to it.
Now they're calling for an ambulance here, I do believe. 1:11 to go. And a tough night for the Blue Bombers. This is a very tough situation for Winnipeg right now, with Shannon Baker down after a big hit by Trent Brown. And we'll take a quick timeout at Winnipeg Stadium while they attend to the Bomber receiver, Shannon Baker.
Welcome back to our CFL control. Shannon Baker, they're throwing him on a gurney right now as he will be carted off the football field. You can only hope that he's going to be all right, as he was absolutely hammered over the middle by Trent Brown, who was sitting back with the big lead. He was playing wide open, and as Glenn Suter says, there's the nail, there's the hammer. Dulliford, I should say Baker, definitely got hammered on that play.
One thing good about this is that you notice that he started moving his legs right away, which that's a very good sign, you know, that he's not paralyzed or anything like that. I just think they're taking precautions, they usually do when there's a head injury, and he's probably got a serious concussion.
Well, he was at the mercy of the free safety there. The way the ball was thrown, he was concentrating on trying to catch the ball, and Trent Brown just drew a bead on him, and you know, he was hurting right from the get-go.
You know, they had lined him up many a times, Trent Brown, with the hits like this, and this is the first one that he took all night. He had many chances to get these kind of hits because they were trying to throw the ball down the middle. You know, like right here, you see, he's just sitting right in the middle, playing free safety, center field, watches it comes, and just waits and lines it up, man, perfect. Blah.
You know, it's a key point on that play is that because they have such a big lead, the free safety's deeper than normal, so now he can come up to make the play. Sometimes the free safeties get a little too shallow and they can't get the right angle to come up and make that hit when the ball's getting there.
Those are the times when you go back to the quarterback and say, hey, what in the world are you thinking about?
This really epitomizes the pacing that these guys have put on the Bombers.
Yeah. Especially when it's 41-12 and the football game is so far out of reach.
Well, you know what? There's a heck of a difference in this football team tonight, Edmonton, compared to the one that we saw in Hamilton, and it's basically on the offensive side of the football. If Danny Mac gives them that kind of quarterbacking for the balance of the schedule with that tough defense, and now Gizmo returning punts, they're going to be awfully tough down the stretch.
Yeah, I don't understand, Bob. Why did Winnipeg switch K.D. Williams around? Here is a guy who was the top defensive player in the league as an outside linebacker, and then they've got him inside today, and he's been inconspicuous.
Well, really, to start the season, they did have him inside, and that one game we did, I think it was against Ottawa, they moved him to the outside because of some injuries. I think Clements was hurt that game, but he played so darn good that, you know, I'm surprised they didn't leave him there. And right now, we're seeing a good sign that they've got Shannon Baker into the ambulance, and hopefully he'll be fine.
John and Glenn, this has been an interesting football game for the Edmonton Eskimos. Last week against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, offensively they could do nothing. But Danny McManus is back. He played a very good football game. He was consistent. Les Brown is saying that this is the first time this season he's really grabbed the Edmonton Eskimos offense, and he was very sharp tonight.
Well, he's definitely played his best game as an Edmonton Eskimo, and we may be looking back even a couple of seasons to his best, to the last time he was this effective coming off the bench in relief in BC, and another time in
you think back
Calgary.
Yeah, I think back to '94. I mean, when he basically won the Grey Cup for the BC Lions, came off the bench, did a super job, called his own plays then, calls his own plays tonight here in Edmonton. You know, he had a great game 2 weeks ago in the first half against Calgary. Was playing well before he got injured. You know, I know Les Brown will agree with me on this one. The veterans, a guy like Danny McManus, seem to turn it on when it starts to mean a little more. And I think that you know, Danny McManus struggled a little bit earlier in the year, but when the games become a little more important, you see McManus, his performance level will go up.
Well, it was definitely there tonight. No errors for Danny McManus, and a solid evening of passing. 20 of 31, 249 yards. The numbers, no touchdowns, but no interceptions. That's the key stat.
You know, John and Glenn, I want to say this to the Edmonton fans. Danny Mac has taken a lot of criticism during the season. He's jumped from one team to another, and it's a new offense to adapt to. And each game, starting from the Toronto game, Danny Mac has been getting better. He's played the Toronto game tough. He played the Calgary game tough before he went out. And now he's coming back, and he's proven that now he's got the grasp of this offense, and he's putting together a pretty good a game right here.
I don't think there's any question.
I think it's just the indication you've always heard so many times that when things are going well, the quarterback always gets all the accolades, and if they aren't going well, he's going to take his due criticism. So it's all part of the position and being a part of that situation. And if he keeps playing like he's playing now, without any errors and keeping their defense off the field, they're going to be tough.
You know what's so ironic, too, is that they end up going with a 5-receiver set, right? Eric Blunt, who's going to rush for over 1,000 yards this year, probably, unless he's seriously injured. They take him out. They go to the 5 receivers. They got big Tony Burse in the backfield. It spreads out the defense, and away they go. This looked pretty good for the Edmonton Eskimos, Glenn.
They might add something.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think they've stumbled onto something because Tony Burse is good enough, as we just saw, to run the ball effectively, and he's such a good blocker And with that extra receiver, as you just mentioned, Darren, it spreads out the defense, and maybe that's going to be the Edmonton look for the future.
Well, one can only hope that Shannon Baker's going to be all right as they take him to the hospital. Hopefully, it's just precautionary measures. Guys, let's return the football game back to your very capable hands.
Well, we understand everyone on the sidelines is cautiously optimistic. There was some movement down there. The players are saying something to the effect that they think he's going to be all right as to the seriousness of the injury, but they're taking every possible precaution because of the severity of the hit. It's over for the Blue Bombers here, but still a little time to go. 1:08, not officially on the clock. The Giz has taken one back, and he won't get anywhere on this return into the final minute now. Ron Lancaster is second among Edmonton Eskimo head coaches in the all-time win department. This will be his 68th against 35 losses in 6 seasons in Edmonton.
You think,
and you look back at this guy as a coach on the sidelines in Edmonton. I wonder how many more games he would have won with consistent quarterbacking, because he really hasn't had the kind of quarterback in those 6 seasons that has gone out there and given him the kind of consistency, despite the fact that he has won a Grey Cup.
I agree with you, John. I mean, he has had the defense. There's no question about that, but if you ask Les, he's got the quarterback now.
Well, he certainly had the quarterback tonight.
Absolutely.
Not Mr. Ledbetter, but the gentleman who preceded him moments ago, or for the 4 quarters that less a minute here tonight. Danny McManus had a superb evening. Called a good game. We talked about that
really
in the
did.
first half. He was very much in control of things. Trying to run down the clock here with 38 seconds to play.
This is what Ron Lancaster wanted to develop Cody Ledbetter. You know, put him in there in the end of football games when it's out of reach one way or the other, not to have to throw him in there due to injuries. You found out how tough it can be for a backup quarterback who hasn't had a lot of playing time when Cody Ledbetter tried to play against that Hamilton defense last week and threw for 37%. It's a tough night.
McManus got off to a tough start. One of the early games this year, he was 15 of 41, and as a result, it's really tough to get your percentage back after a game like that. You know, he's coming into this game at 52%, and he'll bump it up a couple of points as a result of his performance tonight. When you have a game like 15 of 41, it takes a long time to get that percentage back.
I mean, you look at Danny McManus, and last year he played half and half. He has been a backup throughout most of his career, but McManus thrown more passes so far this season than he has in the last 3 years. And he's doing it with a brand new team and a brand new set of receivers like Les Brown alluded to earlier. So, I mean, it takes a while for all that to work together and for McManus to get the idea of throwing in every single football game and attempting, 30, 40 passes a game. But he's certainly peaking at the right time. Down the stretch run.
Absolutely. 11 seconds to go in Winnipeg. The Blue Bombers will regroup and drop to 6 wins, 6 losses. The Eskimos stay on Calgary's tail. And we'll watch with interest as the Stampeders challenge the Argonauts at Skydome tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, we've given a lot of credit to Danny McManus' performance tonight, well deserved, but hey, you got to talk about this Edmonton defense with the way they have played. Ken Austin looked sharp in the first half of this game, but the Edmonton defense bent a little bit, just would not give up any points.
That's it, a merciful conclusion. The Edmonton Eskimos full value for a 41-12 victory. Here's the guy who did it, Danny McManus. Doesn't look like the guy who just put all those points up, does he?
3 interceptions and 3 touchdown passes. He walks out the field the same way.
Well, he won tonight. He's the star of the game, no doubt about it. And Lancaster continues to chase Buono for top spot in the CFL West. The block of the game brought to you by Pepsid AC. You can be heartburn-free with Pepsid AC.
Came early in the game on the Danny McManus touchdown. Willie Pless right here is going to get the block. He's going to go in, fake the handoff. McManus, bit of a broken play. Looked like he might have wanted to give him the football. Doesn't happen. McManus takes off and watch the block. Pless right there on Doug Hawking, number 38. Bring his quarterback into the end zone.
He hardly hit him.
Hey, just enough to get him in the end zone. That's all he needed.
It works. 41-12 Eskimos over the Blue Bombers on a wet night in Winnipeg.